Ready. So let's freaking go. Hello everyone and welcome to our Friday live stream. Today we have, of course, portfolio review. So we've been waiting for this one, of course. There's been a lot of questions. The way we're doing this, if you remember, you guys submit your portfolio on Discord. Submissions are now closed, even though I know we're gonna get the question here on the chat. It's very interesting. No, it's not a new look. I'm just using my hoodie because it's a little bit cold over here. So yeah, today we're going to be going over portfolio, and the main goal of this series, of course, is to take a look at what you guys are doing, give you an advice of what things might work, what things might not work, how to improve them, and how to better present your work so that you have a better chance at landing that dream job or that opportunity that you're looking for. Okay? So yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh well, there's a couple of announcements before we move on to the first portfolio. No, it's just cold right now. It's just cold over here. Before we move on to portfolio, the first announcement is that Creatures Unleashed, our contest, is going to be finishing next week. Let me get here real quick. So for those of you who are a little bit out of the loop, which will be a little bit concerning because we've been announcing this for a long time now. We are hosting this contest called Creatures Unleashed, and the deadline is this next Wednesday, October 30. Okay, guys? Please do not miss the deadline if you're participating. A very common mistake is that people think that it's the next day or the day before or whatever. No, it's October 30, not 31st. It's not the end of the month. It's on October 30, okay? Wednesday. And we're gonna close the submissions at Mexico time, 11:59 p.m. So before it turns into October 31st, which means that if you're in the other side of the world, if you're, for instance, in Asia or in Europe, you might have a couple of extra hours. But again, I would not sort of like depend on that, because you might find that the submission button is now, or the submission post is locked, and you won't be able to participate. So October 30, okay? And then on November 1st, the next Friday, we are gonna have a showcase. We're gonna show all of the different participants that we have. We're gonna go over them. We're gonna take a look. We're not gonna announce the winners then, okay? The winners, and all of this is on the rules, the winners will be announced the week after, because I need to send the images to the judges. I need to get their feedback. I need to do like a matrix of evaluation. And of course, we're also gonna have the community, like a voting stage, so that we find who the community is picking as one of the grand prize winners. As part of this, as you guys know, we are now having an extra Topo Gun license for all of the winners. So both runner-ups and the three runner-ups and the 2 grand prize winners will be doing this. Okay, we'll be getting a Topo Gun license. So that's announcement number 1. Announcement number 2. This is a smaller announcement, but nonetheless a really cool one. So yesterday we had a very special video. Where is it? Where we did the VR sculpting. I'm not sure if you guys saw it or not, but if you haven't seen it, we're actually giving away 2 licenses for that VR software, which is also a desktop, like a sculpting software. It's called Shapelabs. It's very cool. So our friends at Shapelabs are giving away 2 licenses. I don't have the video right here. Where is it? It should be here. Can't find it. Where is it? There we go. That's one right here. So if you want to check it out and you want to participate on that, that's going to be a raffle, and we're also going to be announcing the winners next week. So if you want to participate on that one, make sure to check the video from yesterday. And yeah, other than that, we are ready to jump into portfolio review. So let's start with the first one. And David and I, we were talking about this before the submissions. I'm going to really try to give the exact same amount of time to everyone, which we calculated is supposed to be about 6 or 7 minutes, okay? So everyone should get 6 to 7 minutes. That's why we're also starting a little bit earlier today, because otherwise we would not be able to finish, right? So yeah, let's go. We're gonna start today with Joao Pereira. And he has a message for us. It says, "Hi, I'm Joao. I'm not sure, it's like Juan or something like that. I'm in the final year for 3D video game and media course, and I want to become a 3D artist. I haven't decided yet what I want to specialize, because I enjoy doing both environments and characters. Here's my portfolio. I will be very pleased to hear your thoughts about it." Let's take a look. Got a message here from Becker Draw. Says, by the way, Polypaint on the iPad is very good, very fun. One question, do you know what's the Polypaint color profile of ZBrush? I can find that information. Yeah, it's really good. We covered that on the new ZBrush for iPad course that I released last week as well. We do a little bit of Polypaint at the lesson, at the end of lesson 3, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not sure about the color profile, Becker. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research, but it has to be some sort of like sRGB. Like it shouldn't be too far from that. Can you still work for game film industries if you use Blender? Why does the industry hate Blender? It's not that it hates Blenders, Ben, it's that Blender, or rather most big studios, have already created a lot of internal tools around the other softwares, so that switch to Blender is very complicated. However, there are some big studios that are using Blender, and one of the big ones, for instance, is Epic Games. Epic Games and Fortnite, they are using Blender, so perfectly valid. And no Solid Mango, I have not seen the newest Venom movie. Okay, so let's start today then with our portfolio review, and this is by Joao Pereira. So the first thing I noticed, my friend, is that you definitely want to be a character artist, or at least that's what your portfolio suggests, because we have 5 characters and we have 1 prop and 1 like game environment. I can see that the quality of the props, it's a little bit on the I don't want to say beginner level stage, because I do see some cool stuff in here, but it's not to the quality of what you might want to pursue, especially if you want to work again in like AAA studios and stuff. This chest right here, for instance, this is a fun one. It's a good exercise. It's a good model. Like, it looks fine. But we've talked about this before, and you're gonna be the first one to receive this feedback today. You usually don't want to do something that's too simple. Okay, I'm gonna give you a perfect example since we have Halloween coming up. I was working on a personal project a couple of days ago. And I was doing a pumpkin, you know, like a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. So I did a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, and I was practicing a technique that I want to further develop. And I did this jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, and it's look okay. It's not bad. It's a good exercise that I did. This single element will not be a good portfolio piece. Okay, it just like doesn't work because it's something that's relatively simple. However, if I were to do, let's say, another pumpkin, and then another pumpkin, and then like a fence, okay, and I do some vines and some leaves, and I do, I don't know, like some candies on the floor, right? Or like I do like a crow on the back, like an evil crow, right? Like this now, even though they're all simple assets, like if you think about all of them as separate pieces, the fence, the crowd, the 3 pumpkins, and the vines, they're now a little scene, like a little diorama or a little like story that I'm telling with them. And again, even though they're simple props, they now create something that's way more complete. So that's what not only you, Joe, but everyone else should do with your portfolios. This is something that's a little bit closer to what I mean. Like, if you're gonna do an environment, it's way easier to think about, okay, how can I make this something that's a little bit more complete, something that feels like it's more, again, like part of a product is what I would say. It doesn't have to be that way always, of course, but especially for this industry, the entertainment industry, it is important to always think about how your stuff is gonna end up being a product, okay? Now, from these characters, the asterisk that you did right here is good. I like this one. It's clean. Topology seems to be going quite nice, but the materials are very simple, right? Like, we have a very simple, so like just straight materials. Same for the illumination. And again, you're going to be one of the first ones that's going to get a little bit of recommendations here. And this is for everyone watching. I made specifically this course last month or 2 months ago, because this is one of the things that that I see frequently in portfolio reviews. Folly 3D, welcome my friend. So this course is completely free. It's on the site. It's called Portfolio Presentation Workshop. And this one's specifically, my friend, to avoid having this, okay? It's not that this is bad, but this is better, okay? Softer lights, rim light, 3-point lighting, better like presentation with color balances and things like that. So even if you have a very sort of like simple texture or material setup, you can make it way look way better if you do a little bit of steps to improve your rendering things. And that rendering can really push, again, your presentation and your chances to the next level. This one I don't love, to be honest, because it looks very low poly, especially the skirt right there. The construction here, this is something that's very weird. We normally don't have the hands facing forward, so I would advise you to probably take this one out from your portfolio. This anatomy study is fine. He does look like Ronaldo, so you did capture his likeness a little bit. However, again, we're not seeing a finished product. This is just, to me, like a work in progress, or like an exercise that you did to learn about anatomy. Do you want to make this a finished product? Add some pants, of course, add some soccer shoes, and prepare him to be like a game character. It could be like a Fortnite game character. And finally, we got this one right here. You did follow my advice, I think. I'm not sure if you saw my advice, but you just follow my advice on the gold, like not making it extremely bright, which is fine. This is looking, again, a little bit better, but I still see some issues with the, what's the word? With some of the geometries, especially. Like some of the elements, they look very old, very low poly, right? Like this is something that I might expect to see on PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and nowadays we can definitely push things a little bit higher. Another thing that's a little bit weird on this one, my friend, is that the roughness on everything seems very uniform. Like I don't see things that are like behaving like metal, like this guy's right here. They look more like plastic bits rather than metal bits. So you might want to give it a shot or a check on your textures. This little scene is also not working great, to be honest. I would rather just see the character by itself. Yeah, we might want to check like where the bakes and where the information is going. If I could recommend a course for you, it will probably be, of course, the portfolio presentation one, and this one, the substance painter course, which is gonna give you more tools to make your texture work a little bit more interesting. Let's see, should I need ArtStation to show my stuff works as portfolio? Yeah, ArtStation Vildan Rosjada is usually what people use. It's not the only option, but it's what most people in the industry use, so I would recommend. There's this other one that came out recently called Kara, I think, which is supposed to be a little bit better for us artists because it does not support any sort of like AI. However, I've still seen like a lot of activity on ArtStation. Let's go now with Harsh Sharma. Says, I've been sculpting from last 1.5 years and I want to be character artist. Here's my portfolio, ArtStation. Let's take a look. Okay, interesting. Hey, I think I know where this is from. I did a ZBrush tutorial a couple of years ago, and one of the exercises was an octopus. Yeah, that's fun. Let's take a look. This cell shaded lab looks fine. It's fun. It's an interesting style. But I think from all of these pieces, the ones that like call to me the most are this alien right here, this like test lab right here, and maybe even this like boss fight right here. Oh, this was for the Punishers, like contest. Yeah, it's an interesting style because it's cell shaded. But I do feel like it might not be a very strong piece for your portfolio. This one on the other side is really good. I think this one is one of my favorites for your portfolio, Harsh. And the reason why this one works is because, again, going back to the little example I gave you, it tells a story, right? There is something going on. So people see this and they realize, hey, like, well, what's the story behind this like test lab or this like structure right here? Modeling wise, I don't see a lot of complexity, to be honest, which will be my next advice for you, Harsh. We need to start working on things that are a little bit more complex. What do I mean by this? If you take a look, most of this stuff are just cylinders, planes, and that's pretty much it. Like, it's all primitives. You did a really good job on the texturing side of things. Like, texturing looks nice. I like it. Again, on the illumination side of things, it's starting to look a little bit flat on this side. So I would probably try to add more complex objects. So if you look for sci-fi station, right, you're gonna see that most stations, they always have like complicated gribble. We call that gribble, which are all of these like columns, pillars, like bevels and lines and segments and all that stuff. And that's one of the things that makes them interesting. Like even this one right here, look at that. That's really cool. I'm not sure if this is AI. I didn't use the filter right now, but see all of the gribble and all of the like the turrets and the antennas and all that kind of stuff. All of those elements are very cool. Lavender Devilry or Delivery. Hey, with the raid, welcome guys. I don't think we've had a raid in a long time. So hey, welcome to our portfolio review, my friends. We're going over 3D work from students all over the world and helping them with advice and tips and tricks that they can use to improve. Let's see. Hey, I'm currently working on a car for a game. I want to know from nowadays how many tries this car should be. You can definitely go to 100k triangles for like a car, especially if it's for like Forza or for something like very fancy like that. You can go high, so don't worry too much about that. Ah, thanks, man. Yeah, we've been grinding quite a bit to be present on all socials. This Batman's not that harsh. I don't like using busts as my, what's the word, as portfolio pieces because they're relatively fast to do. There's some anatomy issues there on the face and on the mouth that need to be addressed, but it's a good road. And I think you did learn about that because on this one right here, this is very nice. I like this one. And I really like it, especially if this is your own design or your own creation. Because I remember when I went to Noman, and I presented my portfolio to enter the school, I showed multiple pieces of my traditional drawings and things like that, and I was very proud of a very big Joker piece that I did in pastels. And the girl that was reviewing my stuff, she was like, meh. And she told me, I've seen millions of Jokers. I've seen millions of Jokers and different takes on it. I don't care about it anymore. It's not original. It's not interesting to me and to most people in the industry because it's the Joker. We've all seen him and we've all seen very good renditions of him. But then she saw another alien, actually. I had an alien that I had done. And she was like, this I find more interesting. I really like this one. And I remember it didn't take me as long to do that alien as it took me to do the Joker. And she liked the alien more. So that's the same thing right here. This piece to me looks way more interesting and it tells me more about you, about who you are as an artist, than this one right here of Batman. Okay, so it's fine to do fan art or it's fine to pick a concept and do that, but it's very, very important that you also show what you can do as an artist. Okay, what's your view on the world, because that's what makes us unique, your own interpretation of how the world works. Johan, no, the submissions are now closed, my friend, but we will open them up again on November. We do this review every month, so yeah. Lavender says, just finished my own ZBrush stream. I make little guys for 3D printer. Oh, that's awesome, man. What 3D printer do you have, Lavender? Which one do you use normally? So yeah, that's it for you, Harsh or Sharma. Let's go to the next one. Let's go with Eric. Hey, my name is Eric. I'm a 3D artist from Vietnam. Can you tell me if my portfolio is good enough to be in this industry? And please tell me where I'm lacking. Thank you. The Saturn 4 Ultra. That's nice, man. That's nice. Oh, dude, I think I've seen your stuff before, actually, Eric. I think I might have found, because I remember seeing some of this ones right here. Are you the... You don't have a YouTube channel, do you? Because there's one guy that did this arcane versions when the series came out, and he recorded the plot process. But I'm not sure if it's you or not. This is really good, man. Like this, your level of sculpting is very, very nice. I can see you're using ZBrush and Photoshop. Yeah, it's very clean, very nice forms, very nice anatomy, very nice proportions. I really like this one right here. Where did you do the paint? Oh, poly paint in ZBrush. You gave this sort of like a hand painted style directly in ZBrush. Nice. Yeah, Dishonored is such a great game. I had a chance to work on some characters in Avalar Tag Team RPG. Nice. Yeah, this is good, man. I mean, you're asking if you can be on the industry, and you're already there because you did this character for Enigma Software. So, I mean, yeah, you can definitely be there. The one thing that I would tell you might be missing a little bit here from your portfolio is more game-ready pieces. Because I only see two, which is this two right here. This Red Knight, which is very, very good. I really like it. Good stuff. Very good stuff. And this one right here. My advice, if you already have this one, for instance, this Norse Orc, this guy is ready to go through the production pipeline. Do the retopology, do UVs, do texturing, and just present it as a game character. Because all these four, the Dishonored, Arcane, and this girl right here, they're really good. Like, it shows a very cohesive and very clean portfolio for you, Eric, but it doesn't show or supports or continues to support the fact that you do know how to do the full pipeline. I really don't have any suggestions for you. You might want to check the portfolio like presentation workshop to give a little bit more light. That's a personal like pet peeve of mine. Like I it's not that I hate it, but it does become a little bit difficult to appreciate all the hard work that you did here on this character, for instance, because it's very dark, right? So if you add a little bit more light, like you can have your cinematic render. This is what I would call like a cinematic render. But then if you have like a more sort of like clean light render, yeah, something like this, it becomes a lot easier to appreciate all the hard work that you did. It's also important to show a couple of wireframes. I don't see a lot of wireframes here. I do see some of the maps, which is fine, but it would be very, very cool to see some wireframes. Yeah, Elegoo machines, Lavender, are my favorite. I have a Saturn. I think it's the Saturn 3. I'm not sure if it's the 4. I think it's the 3. I don't remember. I think it's the 3 because I have the Neptune 4. Let's say... Heman says, sir, please make a video on a 3D render software. How can we show our portfolio better? Dude, I'll do you one better. I'm gonna give you a free course, which is right here. So if you go to my site, man, leal3d.com, we got this free course available. It's called Portfolio Presentation Workshop. I did this with Blender to try to share this with as many people as possible. But you can use this inside of Maya. Like, the principles are exactly the same. So as long as you know how to place a light in Maya, you're going to be fine. And you can translate all of this information into your render of choice. So yeah, Eric, good stuff, man. Like, really, really freaking good stuff. So just do more. If you're looking for a job right now, you need to do more, and you need to start working on the other side of this industry, which is the personal relationships side. So you need to go out there, message people, email them, ask if there are any spot availables, and start getting your name out there so that people know that you're available. Okay. So that's Eric. Let's go with Kunal. Says hi. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, Jose Pablo, you're right. The one that I was mentioning was Llyan Sculpts. He does those are like breakdowns as well. So John says, hi, Kunal says, I got my portfolio reviewed by you a few months ago, and you gave me some things, and I took those feedback, and you updated my portfolio. I'm still unable to get some good jobs, so could you guide me with what's lacking? I know market's in a bit bad condition, but still, here's my portfolio. Please share your thoughts. Yeah, I do remember some of these pieces. I particularly remember this one, if I'm not mistaken, which was a really good like apron asset for games. I think, my friend, the one thing you're missing the most in your portfolio are, if you want to be a character artist, which of course is what I see right here, you're missing the full characters, right? Like complete characters. Because for instance, this King Kai here from Dragon Ball Z, it's very fun. It's a fun character. It's fan art. You did a great job here on the stitching. I'm not sure if you use like Substance Designer or something. It looks like you use Sampler. It's fun, but I don't see topology, so I'm not sure if this is game ready. There's a couple of things there on the forms of the hands that could be improved. So yeah, same for this one. Monkey D. Luffy. It's not a bad sculpt, but that's all it is, right? Like right now, this does only look like a single sculpt. It doesn't look like it's a finished piece for a game. So remember, guys, that in this industry, it's very important that you show you are capable of taking something from the very beginning all the way to the very end of a pipeline, including all of the boring stuff that we don't like to do, including retopology, including UVs, including rendering, including shading, sometimes even rigging, things like that, okay? So right here, what I see is that you do have some very cool models. Like this is a cool model, for instance. Careful with the metal edgeware, we've talked about that one before. But this is a cool model. See, okay, this is very interesting, man. I think you're also sort of like shooting yourself on the foot by making some interesting choices here for your portfolio. Let me explain. You have a very cool bike. I want to see more of the bike. And you show me the bedroll, and you show me the backpack, and then we go into this sort of like texture variations on the element. No, I want to see the bike. I want to see the wireframe on the bike. I want to see your UV layout for this bike, because I'm interested in seeing how you tackle something as complex as this piece right here. So don't get distracted, or don't get too distracted with these things right here. It's fine. If this is going to be for like a game, like a trading card game, and this is one of the variations, do one or two. But we have, what, 6, 7 different, 8 different variations. I don't care about the variations. I care about the bike itself, okay? So we gotta be a little bit smarter on what kind of things we present on our portfolios. Now, there's a couple of pieces here that you might feel very, again, connected to, such as this guy right here, right? This Chowdhury, the Indian comic legend. If this is like a hero of yours and you really admire his work, that's perfect. But let's be honest, man, this is not a good piece for your portfolio. So when you have weird pieces on your portfolio, it also makes someone question your artistic decisions and visions. I know it hurts. I know it sucks that you might need to take this one out if this is a character or a person that you really admire. But even this Mario, right? Like, it's not the greatest Mario I've seen out there. So maybe you're very proud because you learned a lot of things while doing this specific project. But if the project is not good enough, it's better to just take it out, okay? There's a lot of things, and you can see this even on the YouTube channel. If you go through my YouTube channel and you check all of the thumbnails of things I've done, I can even show you right here. Like all of these things that I've done, like the cannon, like the griffin that I did yesterday, like this NES controller, like I've done so many exercises, so many demos of the tools and the things, and this will never be on my portfolio because they're not portfolio worthy to me. So you gotta be the first filter who decides what is good and what is not good, okay? So it's very, very important to do that. Does adding a head bust hinder my chances? It doesn't hinder your chances. Like this one right here, right? Cain Velasquez. It's fine. It's a good bust, and in this case, Kunal did a good job on the likeness of the character. So it's not gonna hinder it. But if you don't have a full character and you just have like busts or heads, that does hinder your opportunity, because to me as a recruiter, it would tell me, hey, this guy doesn't know how to complete a full character. He's really good at doing heads, so if I need someone to just do heads for like variations of a character or something, he might be a good fit. But if I need someone to do a full character, I'm not sure if he can do it. So that again would be my advice for you, Kunal. Try to do a full character and apply this level of quality that you did for this particular asset here to a full character. So you need to grab like everything you've learned from all of these different projects and combine them into one that shows those skills. Okay? Hope that helps. Let's go. Sorry about that. Robert McPherson says, question, how do you get yourself past the anxiety factor? I have BFA and an AAS in 3D animation, so I know things, but my own brain makes me compare myself to others and then feel like I can't. Yeah, so that's my secret, Robert. I'm always anxious. I'm literally always anxious. No, but getting real, it's normal. It's very normal for us as artists to be anxious, to be afraid, to be nervous. Even I was literally talking about this to David yesterday. I was like, hey dude, like the channel is growing and I never studied anything about content creation. Like getting here and sharing all this stuff, it's scary. Like I don't know all of the tricks and all of the techniques and all of the stuff that I need to know. That's part of learning, right? That's part of being a human, getting yourself into positions where you are going to be exposed to elements or things that will make you uncomfortable, but you will grow from that. You will learn from that. It might not be super amazing. Sometimes you will have bad experiences, but you will learn. Best advice I can give you about comparing yourself to others is that there's people out there that are way, 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 way better than you, and there's people out there that are way, 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 way worse than you, and everyone has their own path. Okay, so it's not good to compare yourself to those who you think are better than you, because there's also those who are not better than you, and that would be also unfair to compare yourself or to sort of like look down and compare to those who are just starting, for instance. So just don't compare yourself to them. Compare yourself to yourself. Look at the stuff that you were doing 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and really ask the question, have I improved in the past 3 to 6 months? If you haven't, okay, we gotta do something. We gotta fix something. We gotta learn something. We gotta change our minds or work about specific thing to go through that sort of like plateau of your skills. And if you have improved, then awesome. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep learning more stuff. Always learning, always improving, right? And that's how you sort of like go and push to the next level. And I've mentioned this before, guys. Like I know I'm not the best artist out there. I've never said that, and I don't think I ever will. There's a lot of stuff that I'm learning as I continue. Even now that I'm teaching, I'm still learning about stuff. I'm still improving as an artist, and I expect to improve until the day I die. So it's very, very important that you understand that this is not a race against the world. It's a race against yourself. And as David once told me, this is not a sprint. It's a marathon. So keep it steady, keep it simple, okay? Just grab a good pace that you feel comfortable with, push yourself a little bit more, right, to get those gains a little bit quicker, but make sure you enjoy the process. I'm not sure if you guys are reading or have read the Stormlight Archives, right? But that book, not only is a great fantasy book, it actually has some like interesting life lessons there as well. And there's this quote that I love. I'm actually thinking about tattooing it on the arm, which is journey before destination. It's the oaths of the knights, right? And one of the oaths is that one, journey before destination. So you focus on the journey, not on the destination, okay? So hope that helps, my friend. Yeah, no, you're welcome, Robert. You're welcome. Do you have any advice on how to learn texturing max layering in Photoshop? I'm learning in class, but it's not clicking for me. Maya is honestly easier. So Lion's Path, Photoshop is not really used anymore, to be honest. Like most texturing work is done via Substance Painter nowadays. Okay, let's go with the next one. This is Dexith I don't want to pronounce the last name or that part of the name wrong, so I'm just gonna say Dex. This is my first sculpting. Tell me where I am wrong, what I have to improve. Sorry, I know there is only one character, and also guide me with texturing roadmap because I want to go for realistic texturing. This is my portfolio link. I am happy to get a feedback. Let's take a look. Nice, yeah, you did the Oni. This is one of our famous courses there on the site. A lot of people have learned and enjoyed this course. It's a ZBrush course in its essence, in its core, but it's about also like a character creation. So there's a couple of things that I see on this one that could be improved. First of all, if you're doing rendering, man, I don't know where you're doing your rendering, whether if it's Maya or Blender, but make sure to turn on the denoiser. Like, you're not using the denoiser, you're getting a lot of noise. It's fine, like a little bit of noise, it's not going to kill anyone, but it can definitely look a little bit better. Anatomy-wise, there are a couple of things that I would fix a little bit. So, mainly the obliques right here. Okay, so the obliques, they do push out a little bit more. The latissimus is fine, but the obliques are a little bit too small right there. So you need to push them before going in back into the body. As for the props, all of the props look good. The belts look good. The feet, yeah, everything looks fine. So proportions wise, he does look a little bit short, but I think it's the obliques that make him look a little bit short. Like, if we fix the obliques right there, that should make it a little bit more proportional, I would say. Because everything else looks okay. So what you need to do is we need to go through a process called retopology, where we retopologize the whole character with a low poly version of the element, usually with specific specific elements such as animation loops and things like that. And then we... Wolf Girl just gave out 3 more C tier 1 subs. Wait, am I not... My god, I was... Sorry, guys. The chat was hidden all this time because I forgot to change the proper thing. Even YouTube missed all of the chat there. I'm sorry. So yeah, there you go, Wolf Girl. Thank you very much for the for the magic trick, for the subs right there. Thank you so much. So yeah, this is what I was telling you about, my friend. You need to go through a retopology process on the character. You want to go back to the version of the character where he's not post, because doing retopology on the post character can be done, but it's very tricky. So it's very important that you go to a basic, so like V pose or A pose. You do retopology, you do UVs, and then you do the texturing process. If you want to check some of the courses, there's the retopology course, and then there's the substance course. There we go. Yeah, we got to the gold sub. 65 subs, guys. Thank you very much. Darth Bean, thank you for the sub as well, my friend. Let's see. Grace God says, how would you approach like advanced study of shading in industry renders, like V-Ray aspects? We select your fake bevels, smooth transitions between disconnected geometry, and many more. Tutorials are going to cover. Okay, so Grace God, I'm gonna show you one of my secrets, but this is very... What's the word? I don't know. I think this is very weird and very nerdy, but I really love going into documentation. So I'm one of those people who will just jump into the documentation, for instance, here in Arnold, and I'll start like literally looking through this stuff. Because if you go to the shaders, and for instance, we go to the, let's look for bevel shader on Arnold. There we go. So you will find all of this information on how it works, how it connects, the kind of stuff. It's very technical. It is very technical, and you're not gonna find a lot of tutorials about this because a lot of people don't like doing this, right? They don't like going into the documentation and doing the work, like reading how these tools work. But if you go here, you're gonna find a lot of very cool stuff. And yes, it does require a little bit more, again, time investment and understanding of how this functions. But once you do it, you're gonna have skills that very few people out there have. So personally, I like to first look at the documentation, because if it's not in the documentation, then that means that it's not something that's going to be as easily accessible, and then you're looking at more like hacky ways of finding how to get something to work. But most of the softwares out there have good documentations. So my advice, get excited about reading documentation. That's what I do every time there's an update on ZBrush, Maya, Blender, Substance Painter. I go to the documentation and I read about it. Like I go and I try to understand the specific things that they are sharing. So we have a random emote, looks like. Unlocked now? What the hell? I don't know how this works. Oh, anyway. So let's see. In the Discord channel, they put a post in there for the month. Yeah, exactly. The right now the submissions are closed, but we'll have one more next month. Hey, Abe, I want to Sean, I mean, you can upload to ArtStation. That's usually the place to go. So that will be my advice for you, and you can submit on the next game. If you're trying to get in games, shouldn't you render it in game? Yes, ideally, if you're trying to get into games, Fali, you definitely want to render or show your characters either on Unity, Unreal, or Marmoset. Those are like the common places to show your work. You can also do Blender with Eevee, and you could even do Maya with Viewport 2.0. So the only thing is you want to show things running in real time. That's the important part. So yeah, in this case, my friend, try to check if you want to do the retopology process for this guy, and then texturing. That's the next step for you. But this is a good start. This is a good first sculpt. Of course, there's things to improve and things to get better at, but not freaking bad. Let's go now with Artman. Artman says, "Hi Abe, I'm interested in doing mainly collectibles and have been sculpting for 4 or 5 years on and off. At this point, I want to also see what I can do to present or polish my work to get more people interested in it." Nice. Yeah, so I'm not going to open this angel right here because it has nudity and we can get like a flagged. But let's talk about this Mira, for instance. I'm not sure if you did the whole Mira thing. I see here that you used Das Studio. So that tells me that you might have used like a base mesh, like a character's base mesh, and then sculpted some of the other elements. And I'm going to be honest, it does show a little bit there because the character looks very good, and then this water thing and the hair don't look as great, okay? So let's talk about the hair real quick. When we're sculpting hair, you started with the right track, so we do need to focus on the big shapes first, but then we need to break it down a little bit. So for instance, we have this one right here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give it a little bit more of a gesture, right? Like I'm gonna make it a little bit more interesting right there. And once we do that, we can add a secondary hair, for instance, poking through the other side, see that? And then another tertiary one poking on this side right here. And by doing that, we break up the silhouette of the hair. Because hair, especially underwater, hair goes crazy, right? So it's very important to keep a clean flow of the hair. Like, I hate when people do this right here, because I can see that you're trying to do this very weird S shape. That's very, very, like, complicated. So let's keep it simple. Like, if you really want to twirl it, that's fine. We can do something like this, right? But it always should be like a clean shape first, and then on top of that clean shape, we start adding the next like levels of hair movement, of hair gesture. Same for this points right here. You always want to push these things in such a way that it generates a nice silhouette. And same thing for the water. Like right now, this looks more like ice or like a blob of something, so it's not really giving us that kind of stuff. We got there we go, a little like stream reward there on Twitch. So yeah. This is one of the processes. Ray is asking whether it will be the best way to learn ZBrush. Well, I'm of course completely biased, right? If you want to learn ZBrush, this one right here, the ZBrush Stylized Character course, is a really good starting point. I mean, you can ask anyone here in the chat. A lot of people have taken it, and it covers from the very beginnings, like interface brushes and things like that, all the way to creating this character. If you have an iPad, I just released this one, which is the ZBrush for iPad, and is even like a more simplified version of sculpting. So if you're doing iPad and then you jump to PC, that's like a good bridge right there. So yeah. My advice, man, if you want to do collectibles, that's fine, but you also need to work a little bit on anatomy, okay? Because for instance, this one right here, there's a lot of like interesting. Is this side lock? Yeah, side lock, right? So there's a lot of like polish on the anatomy that we need to fix. What do I mean by that? Like, you do have the idea of where the muscles are, but can you see all of those like brush strokes and like pixelated areas? We really need to clean up the muscle. So that would be like the tricep muscle right there. Okay, here we have the coracobrachialis, chest muscle going over there, latissimus dorsi. So see how bumpy this silhouette looks right there? Clean it up, especially in female forms. Female forms tend to be very smooth. So you want to clean all of this up. Like here, clean that up, clean the muscle up. Let's get rid of all of that bumpiness. And it does take time. I'm not gonna argue with that. It does take time, but if you clean the form of the characters, you're gonna get a nicer, more like smooth silhouette. Now, here's another very common mistake, man. This thing that you added here, the latex suit and the belts, do them as separate pieces. You want to create that silhouette where this thing is going into the leg, it pushes out, and then it continues. Because if you just paint it over, it looks like body paint. It doesn't look as great. So it's very, very important that we take the extra time to really do the work on generating these things. If you're going to be doing a lot of like characters like superheroes and things like that, snackish, my best advice, learn anatomy. Anatomy is going to be one of your big tools to make sure that your stuff is as polished as possible. Let's go now with Jesse Kalarian. Do we have any questions so far? Oh, Aaron has a great question. He's asking, should we close the hole inside of the sleeves of the shirt, or we just add thickness? It depends. Are you gonna simulate the shirt, like moving and wrinkling and doing that sort of stuff? If you're gonna be doing that, then you do need to keep it thin, because the simulation doesn't like thickness. If it's gonna be a 3D print, or if you're gonna bake everything down, doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. I normally like to make them like a solid, so that it's easier to work. So this is Jesse, says, hi Ave, I made this portfolio recently. I've learned a lot from your other portfolio videos, but thought I'd join the Discord and get feedback. I am definitely going to use a tip from your past videos and add the bucket and next to a bigger scene instead of individual things. Nice, see? We're helping. Also, I want to focus more on what I want to do in the future, which is more creatures and intricate Dark Souls-esque stuff. We'll be working on those after, okay. Okay, yeah, Jesse, definitely, I understand where you're going and what you meant by the bucket and this guy right here, and the axe. Making it to a more complex scene is definitely important. I would definitely take this one out. I don't think this is ready. See, I was not a Ben 10 kid. I think when Ben 10 came out, I was already, like, about to get into high school, probably like at the end of middle school, so I was not interested in that sort of stuff anymore. But some of my younger brothers and my cousins are very into it, and I know there's a lot of lore and a lot of very cool creatures, but this one I don't particularly like. I don't think this is a great piece. I would actually just like take this one out. Same for this one. Anytime you're doing something that's very simple, again, I always struggle to recommend adding this sort of stuff to your portfolios, because this is something that you probably did on like quickly, right? Like probably one day or less. It's cool that it's your original design, and actually you draw very nicely. Like this concept right here, that's very, very cool, man. But I would rather you do this version where the character is open with all of the different props, do the proper workflow of retopology, game ready asset, or cinematic render asset, so that you can really showcase all that stuff. Movie quote, I think I'm gonna have to ban you, man. David, can you check this guy on YouTube? A little bit of spam there. So yeah, and then we have this bucket. This bucket is really good. I like it. I really like this bucket, but I'm gonna give you an advice that I think is gonna help you and of course everyone else watching today. So the problem with this kind of stuff is that sometimes we forget that we can add a little bit more complexity to the elements, okay? What do I mean by this? If you were to go, let's say, to ZBrush, or even in Blender, I'm not sure where you did this specifically, but if you go to ZBrush or to Blender, and you grab your brush, you can start adding, you know, like little hits here and there, like little damages on the high poly, right? And you could even sculpt this in Substance as a low poly. Like you can use height maps and height layers to really do this. And see how it breaks the silhouette a little bit more, right? It's kind of like doing a metal edgeware, but it's a metal edgeware that we're doing directly on the asset instead of or actually we're like modeling. So those sort of like details can really make the whole thing more interesting. So that's one of the things that it's missing, because right now it looks very plain. It looks very sort of like similar, symmetrical. Like there's not a lot of variation on the forms, and you don't have to go crazy. Like sometimes the stylized people, when you're doing stylized work, people will go like really crazy. What the hell happened here? Where's the rotation tool? There we go. So people will go really crazy at that, way too much detail, like way too much destruction and stuff like that. You don't need to do that, but just adding a little bit of that, you know, a couple of scratches here and there, right? Can you see how this makes it way more interesting? That's what we're looking for. Like something that tells a story, that shows that this bucket has gone through specific elements. Let's see. No, it's not that I don't like Ben 10. It's just that I never watched it. So I guess if I had watched it, I would have liked it as well. It's just I've never watched it, so I don't have that connection to it. But I like some of the alien designs. They're very cool. Should you include mostly kit bash renders in your portfolio? No. Kit bashing or using like assets from Quixel Megascans or any of these free assets online is fine, but the main piece should be something that you did, because otherwise, what's keeping you or what's making you separate from anyone else who could just grab the same assets and like mash them together into a composition, right? So you want to show that you can do something very, very specific. Yeah, some termite holes, like all of those details could be very good. Juan Guerra, yes, so that's a great question, Juan. Making assets for a game store is perfectly valid. Even we in the studio, we've bought assets that we needed for specific projects and we need to save time. So it's definitely a good solution. I've never done it myself, so I wouldn't be able to give you an informed like opinion about whether it's a good idea or not. But I know a lot of people sell stuff, even here in ArtStation, so I would say go for it. Give it a shot, and if it doesn't work, again. And every single thing we do, as long as it pushes us forward, even if it doesn't succeed, we'll teach you something. So that's important. No. You don't have to add scratches or edgeware, for example. If the prop, as you said, is just new, it just came out of the factory and it's like, so you just bought it from the store, then it's going to be very clean, very, very nice. So I'm not against having clean assets. I'm against having inconsistent stories being told, right? So in this case, for this bucket, this does look, even before I added the metal edgeware and stuff like that, this does look like an old bucket. So if it's an old bucket, really stick to that idea, really stick to that story, and add all of these details that really sell it as a destroyed or damaged bucket. If it's a clean bucket that you're just buying from the store, then change the texture so it looks like a very clean, pristine bucket. So yeah, it's not necessary to add too much detail. It's just a matter of really playing to the specific like a purpose that your asset has. Juan, I'm gonna give you one more advice, and this is something that might sound a little bit weird that I'm about to say. But as we've seen these past couple of years, the industry right now is definitely going through a weird, very bad moment. Did you guys see, let me go on and go full screen. Did you guys see that the Netflix studio where Rafael Grassetti was working just closed like a couple of days ago? Like, I don't know what's happening, but I can see a trend where really big projects are failing and studios are closing. There's still layoffs. Riot did another like round of layoffs a couple of weeks ago. I think Blizzard did as well. So it's crazy, guys. Like right now, the game industry, the film industry, the BFX industry, they're going through weird stages. There are some fatalist people out there that say, oh, the industry's dead, we're never gonna get our jobs back, AI is gonna take over. I don't believe that, of course. I think there's still gonna be plenty of work, but things are definitely shifting. So yeah. Even with Rafael Grassetti, it failed. And it was not only him. There was like the guy who did Halo, like one of the art or not directors, like producers of Halo, was also working there, and they're all like, it's gone. So things go up and down, and there's absolutely nothing wrong. This is my advice to you and to everyone watching. There's absolutely nothing wrong to work on something that's not art related just to pay the bills while you keep working on your art on your off time or your free time while we wait for things to get better. Okay? I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and he is out of a job as well. He's looking for a job. He's got a good portfolio, but he hasn't had any luck. And he's telling me, hey, I might just go and start working like at a restaurant or like a store, you know, like a big chain store, at least for a couple of months while things get better. I'll keep working on my portfolio. I'll keep sending stuff, but I need money. I have a family. I need to support them. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing other types of works while you still pursue this dream or this passion, okay? Absolutely nothing wrong. I do that all the time. I do a little bit of translation on the side. I do a little bit of 3D printing on the side. So work is work, okay? So if you are having or struggling with that sort of like a constant income, try to find something that gives you that sort of like certainty and that safety net so that you can continue to focus on improving your artistic side. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's always a very sad news when we hear about that. But then you hear, this is the thing, we as humans, we tend to be very focused on the bad stuff of things, right? So yes, we hear about, for instance, this studio closing and losing a lot of like super talented people. And then you hear about DreamWorks with their new movie, which I haven't seen just yet, the robot thing, like breaking records again and making a lot of money because it was a huge success, right? So there's always going to be like pieces of entertainment that are going to be performing very, very well, and pieces of entertainment that are not going to be performing as well. So don't just focus on the bad stuff. There's also a lot of good stuff happening. The game industry, like the indie scene, has exploded recently as well. There's been a lot of very good like indie games like coming out. So there is opportunities, or there are opportunities out there. It's just that there's a shift right now, and whenever there's a shift, there's like turbulence going on. It becomes muddy. Things becomes very complicated and difficult to understand. So just be patient, keep your eyes open, look for those opportunities, and sort of like hold on. Imagine like we're all in the boat and we're going through the storm right now. We just need to hold on, wait for the storm to sort of like calm down, and then we can start like seeing what's next. But right now, the most important thing is hold on, and hold on means get a steady job, get a steady income, because even if it's a small income, it's better than no income, right? So yeah. Yeah, I know, Smash. I know, and I know that's like turbulence part of the boat we're in right now. But my point remains, like we are. If you like this career, if you like doing this for a living, you need to learn how to again like sail this times, these turbulent times. Let's see. Yeah, and I understand that as well, Smash. That's a great point. He says, last round of stories was about people that leave the industries and went other path and are better mentally and are treated better and it be infected. That's another very common thing that I see. And again, it's perfectly valid. Like, if at one point you're like, that's it, I'm out. I don't want to continue doing this. I can't handle it anymore. I'll do ZBrush and I'll do Maya on my free time just as a hobby, and I'll go and become an accountant. Go for it. Perfect. And you might have a lot of success doing that. So that's why I tell you guys, keep your mind open, because at the end of the day, what's most important is that you enjoy the life that you're given right now. Okay? Let's see. Okay, so this is from Damián Sevilla. I believe he's submitted before, because I do remember like this shark right here and some of these other characters. This is looking good, man. This hand painted one could use a little bit more material definition, especially on like the bone area. Your gold looks nice. I like it. It's a good job there on the gold. But I feel like this bones and this like the skulls could definitely have another little pass right there. Yeah, this is good. This one right here is nice as well. I do feel like the assets are a little bit on the simple side of things, okay? And this is a very common mistake that I see. And I showed this process on the Plague Doctor's Mask, so you might want to check that live stream, where you can divide this into multiple pieces. Because right now, this shoulder pads and this like shoulder or hand guards, they look like you made or sculpted them from a single piece. Try to go for a little bit more complexity. Build it up with multiple elements. But you do have this Iron Spider-Man. Add more light, man. It's very difficult to appreciate how this looks with this super dark effect. I know why you went for it, because you wanted to show all of the glossy effect, but it's getting a little bit difficult to appreciate. And another thing that would be very important for this particular character, Damián, is to see a wireframe. We definitely need to see a wireframe, okay? Oh, man. Jesse's asking, is Marvel's Designer worth getting for character creation, or should I just get better at ZBrush? Marvel's Designer is really good for cloth, but only cloth. Like, if you're gonna do characters, you definitely need to get better at ZBrush. I think a good sort of like workflow is to master ZBrush as much as you can, Jesse, and then you use Marvelous to make it even better. Because if you try to depend too much on Marvelous, it's not gonna work as nice as you might think it will. So yeah, Damián, I still think you have a couple of pieces here that you could take out. For instance, this extinguisher, I don't think it's really necessary, especially because you have a lot of characters. This one right here, was this done by the... Oh no, this is Blender. It looks a little bit like one Maya course I did a long time ago. Yeah, I will probably take this one out as well. So I would take this one out, I would take the extinguisher out. You can keep the revolver, you can keep the dragon bust, but yeah. Lord Byron says, Ave, in this dynamic of changes in the industry, what styles or aesthetics have the most opportunities today and perhaps in the future? That's a great question. That's a great question. Yeah. So I think, and this is just my personal, again, opinion, that hyper-realistic stuff is definitely the one that's on the toughest spot. Because it's very costly, it takes a long time, and I haven't really seen games lately that really excel on that, and that becomes like their success point, right? Back in the days of Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 and all that stuff, doing that sort of like very hyper realistic things was very important, and people really value that. Nowadays, at least from a gamer perspective, I feel like people are valuing more the what's the word? The gameplay part of the games, right? So I think this sort of like cartoon stylized effect is something that has been shown to work a little bit better, especially again in indie games. So knowing how to do that is I think a good like point. I'm not sure how to phrase this properly. It's not that you shouldn't do realistic if you want to do realistic, but I see like if you want to do hyper realistic, like cinematic level characters, a lot of those people are actually working on films, doing like digital doubles and things like that. I haven't really seen like hyper super realistic characters. Maybe the last one I saw was Wukong. Some of the characters there were looking very, very nice. But other than that, there's always a little bit of stylization, right? Even Elden Ring and things like that. So, yeah. Let's go to the next one. Noble, this is Hell says, hello, I'm Lachlan, I'm based in the UK, England, and I'm a character artist trying to get into the games industry. I've been sculpting for 8 years, however, probably deep dive and committed myself to work in the past 4. I focus on making realism, so feedback on my portfolio would be great. Yeah, let's take a look. Nice, nice. I will say the first thing that I'm looking here at your portfolio, man, you don't really need to add the name of the project. The logos and your name, it's fine. But you really don't need to. Like, if people like your stuff, they're gonna click on it and they're gonna know what the name of the thing is. So the next thing I'm gonna tell you is try to avoid having single asset pages like you're showing here, like this Homelander boots, right? Like, yeah, they're fine. It's a good sculpt. I could definitely like sharpen a little bit on this thing right here, sharpen a little bit on the emblem right there. And I do like this like Barbaset view with the topology and everything. This is good. It's definitely on the heavy side of topology, right? Like in the game, you can definitely optimize this more. And I'm gonna show you a very cool trick here. Let me see if I have another, this one. So this is a very common problem that I see when retopologizing cloth. And we cover this on the retopology course, by the way, guys. So when you are retopologizing cloth, you need to be very aware of where the wrinkles are. So here you went, let's say, the easy way of just like creating a cylinder and then conforming or projecting to the whole thing, which is fine, but it's not going to be great because it's not really going to capture the silhouette of this, guys. So what you're going to do is you're going to start adding triangles here that really go and follow that silhouette. Even here on the inside, triangles are perfectly fine as long as you add them right there following the element, because these are all of these triangles will be on an area that's not going to deform. Like that part of the leg always moves pretty much like a single piece. So it's very important that you really add the triangles right there to really like strengthen the silhouette of the element, because you can see how here the silhouette looks very straight. Same here, it looks very wobbly, and we don't want that wobbliness. We want sharpness. We want the wrinkles to really look sharp, to really show all that nice work you did on the sculpting side of things. And I'm gonna be honest with you, this right here will not fly. That would be like if I was your art director, I would immediately tell you, hey, that doesn't work. That little zipper right there, that doesn't work. Okay, why not? This whole thing right here, it doesn't work. It's too much topology. It's way too much information. Like, you don't need all of these loops for this eagle. Why not? Because this is a single flat piece. So what you need to do here is you need to retopologize the eagle, very low poly, right? Like this. And then all the detail of all of the engraving that you did, that's baked down. You don't need that detail because it doesn't change the silhouette, okay? So same for the zipper. Like, look at how many loops and things we have there on the zipper, even on this badge right here. So again, from an optimization perspective for games, this is way too heavy. Like, you would immediately be like turned down on this because that's not how it's supposed to be done. This is a good character. You have a really good understanding of the facial forms, which is great. Like your face here is very nice. I like it. The body, though, again, some of the props, they look a little bit on the weak side, but I like the full character here. It's definitely, well, not definitely, it's extremely on the what's the word? On the heavy side. Like, you don't need this much topology, man. Like, it's an unoptimized use of topology, okay? Does it mean that it could work? It could work. It's just gonna make the game very heavy, and you don't need this much topology, okay? Even for this lightsaber, because I know you have a separate one right here. Yeah, see, all of those spheres right there, this elder, there's so many things here that we could optimize to bake down into a nicer asset. Because yeah, and sorry, I'm not mocking you. It's just I find it funny because it is a very common mistake, and I used to do this all the time. And I remember my clients telling me, "Hey, like, dude, this is not gonna work. We need you to fix it." Like that bolt right there. I know you really want to hold the volume of that bolt. Like you really want to show the very nice bolt and the little cross there on the element. But the problem is, it's so tiny, right? It's so tiny. No one's ever gonna see it. So if you do want to keep it so that when we see a side view, we see the bolt poking out, remove this and make just like a 12-sided cylinder. And that's it. Maybe one bevel, and that's it. You don't need that cross right there because that's gonna be baked down, okay? So we really need to work on the optimization side of things. This looks more like a subdivision asset, something that we would use for a cinematic or a film. If that's the case, then that's great, but you did mention that you want to get into games, and games will tell you to optimize things, okay, Llyan? So hopefully that helps. Give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Sorry, guys. I've been struggling with the flu this past week, so it's been a little bit annoying. There we go. Okay, so we got this this a statue. Let's take a look. So here, like the first thing I always look at is topology. I'm a sucker for topology, so I always like to see how people are optimizing things. So yeah, this one's definitely better. So we're at 69,000 triangles. It's definitely on the high side, and again, we can optimize quite a bit. Like, see all of these loops right here? We can definitely like remove some of these elements, like this bevel right here. Those support edges, you don't need support edges on a game asset. So I'm pretty sure we could bring this like statue down to probably like 40k triangles without losing too much information. So you're gonna keep exactly the same amount of like texture work and everything, and it will be simplified quite a bit. This is a good statue. I like it. I like this prop. I will definitely keep it. But we do need to optimize the topology. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. And we need more characters. Again, more optimized characters. I would try to avoid having too many split elements. And again, as I told you, I will probably take out the red bands there on your presentation name. Let's now go with Shank. I think I've seen yours before as well. Shashank says, Hi, I'm Shashank, currently based in Germany. I've worked as a 3D asset artist in the animation and VFX industry in India. I'm tailoring my portfolio for a 3D environment and prop artist role in the gaming industry. I really appreciate your feedback on how my portfolio holds. Well, this is a good portfolio. We got some very nice assets. This is the Assassin's Creed Tomahawk. This guitar immediately sort of like calls to me, and it looks nice. Yeah, do we have wireframes? Wireframes, man. Shashank, make sure to include some wireframes. Again, especially for games, wireframes are going to be very important. This is a good one right here. The only thing I would add to this one is a little bit more atmospheric, like perspective. Because as you can see, everything is in focus, so we don't have a lot of fog and tones and things, like especially the mountains there. It starts looking a little bit fakish because we're missing a little bit of that sort of like a depth of field. Again, good composition. I like this one. It tells a story, as we've mentioned. Good reference. That's your trim sheet there. Some of the assets. Nice. More assets. Awesome. Yeah. This is great, man. Oh, we have a process here even. What is this? Is it an Unreal? Okay, it's an Unreal Engine. Yeah, I guess the only thing we might be missing here is a little bit of wireframes. Just a couple wireframes to see how you model some of the things. But you did a good job, man. Like, I like this one. It's a nice scene. One more thing I might add is just something again to tell a story, something else, because I do feel like it's a little bit empty, and when things are a little bit too empty, they can fall into like the boring parts. So maybe just like a character, even if it's a character that you didn't do, like in this case is where I would recommend getting just like a pre-made character just sitting there, a dog walking, a cat walking, something, just something to sort of like make the whole scene a little bit more interesting. But other than that, that's a good composition. Here, I do like some of these assets, like that cassette tape, but the chairs, oh man, I hate those chairs. And I know that you do good stuff, man. So those chairs, I don't know, they look very cartoony compared to everything else. Like even this looks very photoreal. Like I'm sure I could show this picture to my grandparents and they'll be like, oh, that's a cool photo. So yeah, this is good stuff, good attention to detail. I just don't like the chair. That will be my only advice for you. Again, good modularity, good stuff. One advice that I could give you, Shashank, is try to go for an environment that's a little bit more ambitious. Something like this. Yeah, this is a little bit better, but I can still see a lot of sort of like hard edge and extrudes and bevels. So you definitely want to try something that's a little bit more interesting, because these are very modular, right? And I know you have the modeling skills. Like doing this sort of stuff, it's not easy. So you have the modeling skills. Let's use those modeling and sculpting skills to showcase some really good like environments. So if we go for like an environment concept art, let's try like a sci-fi, right? As I always tell you guys, you don't have to do like a super complex one. Like I don't want you guys doing like cities and stuff like that. If you have the time and the energy, go for it. But it's gonna be interesting. No, but I mean something a little bit more manageable, like this, right? Like doing this scene right here. It also involves a lot of modularity. It has a good story going around with the trees and the pots, and I like it. Like I feel like this could potentially be a really good level, like a game level. So something like this is what you want to have in your portfolio. Ausbel says, I gotta give you a huge shout out to Abe. Anyone on the fence on purchasing one of his courses, do it. I've gone to university, purchased dozens of different tutorials from other people. Abe is the best. Hey, thanks, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it. House boss here in YouTube. So yeah, and this is where we're picking a 3D project. We had a video a couple of weeks ago. You guys can check it out on the channel. It's very, very important because we tend to pick either things that are way too easy and they don't really make an impact on our work, or we pick things that are way too complex and we never finish them, right? So it's a balance, and you learn about this. Like you learn how to pick something that does challenge you a little bit, but it doesn't make it like extremely difficult. So go check that video out if you guys want about how to pick a 3D project. But yeah, you got some cool stuff there, man. Like, and the fact that you're already working in the industry, I mean, we just talked about this, right? Like, you're in a very good, like, fortunate situation. So keep working, keep developing your skills on the projects you're working on, and keep pushing on these things and start looking at some opportunities out there for environment and prop artists. I see a lot of environment. I want to see a little bit more props as well on your stuff. That will be good for your portfolio. Let's go now with Crimex G. It says, hello Abe, I'm Tonia, and I recently about to change my job from cinematic 3D artist, I do products, characters, cloths for advertising, that's very nice, to 3D character artist for game dev. I have 5 years of experience in 3D, spent almost 8 months to learn about game development, pipeline optimization, etc. Also building my portfolio fully with the characters for games, but it's been kind of difficult to find a job since 99% of the game dev company looking for artists with experience in game industry, and most of the positions are lead senior. Okay, so here's my first piece of advice for you, Tonia. You already have the experience. Like you just told me here, you have 5 years of experience in 3D. I know it's not games, but they're very similar. So when the studios are asking for experience, it's more about whether or not you have worked on like the corporate like roles or a job, so that you know how to follow orders, you know how to follow pipelines. It's that kind of like soft skills that they're looking for. Yes, you have like a little time learning about the game dev pipeline, but especially if you're like modeling, texturing, and doing that sort of stuff, it's very similar. So let's take a look at your portfolio. Okay, nice. I would like to, this is very weird to me always, when I see like this shots right here that look very interesting, and then I don't see them down here, that always makes me question why. But let's take a look. Let's look at this storm cloud creation and simulation. Yeah, the cloud looks a little bit stiff, I would say. I'm not sure if you're baking down stuff. It looks like you are baking down stuff. I don't love this rendering. She does look a little bit tall, like her neck looks a little bit too long, I would say. It's interesting, Tonia, and I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. It feels like too much, right? Like, I don't understand what the main goal of this piece is. Whether you wanna present your cloth, in which case it looks stiff and it looks a little bit low poly. You need to increase the resolution and the simulation. Whether you wanna present the dynamics, because that tornado down back there looks very, very freaking cool, but that's a different kind of stuff. Or if you wanna present the character, in which case, again, it looks weird. Again, and with the spike, I'm not sure that piece is working perfectly fine. Saint Emma 3D character. my daughter is named Emma. So yeah, this is good rendering on the skin. It looks nice. But the armor, again, it feels like you're over optimizing things or over sculpting things. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Tony, and again, it's not against you. I really want to be, again, brutally honest so that I don't give you false hopes or anything, and I give you the best possible advice. The problem is, we really missed the mark, okay? We really missed the mark. What do I mean by this? Like, this is the concept art, which is a very interesting concept art. I've seen this sort of style. Like, I'm not sure how you would call that style. But then when we compare it to your character, like, we're missing so many things, right? Like, it's nowhere near close. Like, the proportions of the spikes of the helmet are not there. The yellow cross is a different color over here. Her weapon is not the same. She has this, like, cross, like, staff, and you added a sword. We're missing the details on the banner here. Yeah, so we're not really nailing this character, okay? Which is interesting because in your message, you mentioned that you were doing products, characters, and clothes for advertising. And how I think most of the skills should translate to games, but I'm not really seeing that translation right now. What do I mean by that? Like, some of these assets that I see, they look very soft. Like, they're not great, okay? Same for the anatomy. Like, the anatomy of the characters is a little bit on the weird side. Your cloth work is fine, and I can see that you're comfortable working with Marvel's designer, which is great. But yeah, we do need to work a little bit more on the proper optimization of characters. Well, I'm trying to think what the best advice would be for you. It feels to me like maybe the ZBrush course, the stylized character creation course, the one with the Oni, because we go over the creation of a lot of props that could help you. Because see how they look sort of like, if like the armor, it looks like it's made out of rubber, right? Like, it doesn't look hard surfacey enough. It looks very, like, you just grab some of the faces from her topology and just extracted them and extruded them. That's the feeling I'm getting. Because I can see a good work here on the face, but it's missing on all of the other properties. Even the eye, like, the eye looks sick. It looks very nice, but some of the other assets, they really need more help. So yeah, we need to. Here's my advice, Tonia, because I think this is exactly what we were talking about a couple of minutes ago. You're picking projects that are way too complex. Like this character right here, it's a very cool concept. Like, I actually would like to do it, but I know that if I decided to do this character, it would take me at least 1 or 2 months to get to a good result, because it's very complex. So if you look for female knight concept art, you want to do a female knight, that's fine. But let's pick a female knight that's a little bit closer to your current skill levels. Let's make sure that we don't have any AI. So minus AI. There we go. So again, I love female knights. Like, they always look very sick. Like, some of my characters from D&D are female knights. I always like this sort of like trope. So, but yeah, like, if I wanted to do this character, for instance, I know it's gonna take me a while because it has a lot of different pieces. It's not a simple character. But I can go and look for something that's a little bit more achievable, right? Like something that doesn't have as many elements or as many like forms, you could also try doing like a bust of the character first, like learn just the basics of the character, and then jump onto a more complex one. This one's perfect. There we go. So this concept right here, perfect concept to start with. I would even change a couple of things here and there to do it. Again, I'm not sure if this is like AI or not. Kind of looks a little bit AI, to be honest. But the amount of like armor and things that it has, it's definitely more manageable. Or this one right here. This one, I'm sure it's not AI. Looks way, way cleaner. And as you can see, she has armor, she has cloth, she has like all of these different things. But it's not as complex as if I were to tell you, hey, I need you to do this character right here with all of this like fancy stuff. So once you are able to do a simple character, right, like a more traditional, like simple armor character, then you start jumping onto the more advanced stuff, okay? Because I feel like that's what's like bringing you down and maybe like making it difficult to transition into this specific area. It's you can you're going and trying very, very complex pieces. Like this kind of concept, I would only give it to a senior character artist. Like someone straight out of school, it's very, very difficult for a like new student to be able to nail this concept perfectly because it has so many different parts. Let's see. Can I go for something medieval like a windmill scene? Yeah, Shashank. Yeah, definitely. Got another similar question. Is Maya required for good topology, or again, should I just get better at tools? You can do retopology in any software. Personally, I love using Topogon. This is the one. They're very good friends of ours. We did a course where we use Topogon, and they're, again, giving away licenses for our Creatures Unleashed contest next week. So it's a very good software. It is a single purchase, so you need to buy the license or rent. I believe they also have the rent. But you buy the license once and then you have it forever. $150. If you're going to be doing a lot of retopology, it's like amazing. It's freaking amazing. But there are other tools. Even in ZBrush, you can do retopology with like C-Remesher if you control it with curves, and with like a C-Sphere remeshing, which is very tedious but can be done. Topogon is really good. If you don't want to use Maya, Jesse, you can also do retopology in Blender. There's a couple of plugins there that are also quite nice. So yeah, Tonia, that would be my advice for you, my friend. I hope that helps. Again, try to grab something that's a little bit more achievable first so that you learn the whole thing. Not sponsored. We're not sponsored, but we're very good friends with Topogon, guys. So I don't mind giving them a shout out every now and then. Hi, Ave. My name is Benjamin, and I recently graduated from a 3D school. My main focus are the modelization and texturing of assets. I'm currently looking for jobs in the video game industry, and I'm seeking any feedback I have to upgrade my work. I want to continue building my portfolio, so any feedback? Let's take a look. Nice. I love this, guys. I love this one. These ones are from Matt Dixon. People, guys, if you're looking for a good, like, if you're just in the beginning stages of your career, and you're learning Maya, Blender, any sort of like software, try doing a Matt Dixon robot. I remember Noman, a Noman student did this as one of his projects. When I went there, it had won Best of Term. This was back in like 2013. And it was so inspiring to see this scene right here, this concept art brought to life with everything, the lightning, the moon, the clouds, everything. So Matt Dixon here is a really cool illustrator. And what I love about his designs is that they're very manageable. So here it is. This is the guy that our good friend here, that Benjamin. So they're easy to do, they're easy to replicate, they're a good exercise. So very, very nice. I recommend if you want to grab a simple project that could be a portfolio project, Matt Dixon stuff, very easy to do, and you get like a very nice result. They're even really good to practice like hand painted stuff as well if you want. So yeah, I like this one. Yeah, good topology. Well, okay. So again, I feel like the topology police whenever I take a look at this stuff. But here's the thing, man. I look at these triangles that you added here to generate like, or to clean up the boolean, and it gives me the impression that you are wanting to make this for a game, right? Like you're not gonna subdivide this thing. If you're not gonna subdivide this thing, you don't need those triangles, and you can remove a lot of these lines. You can triangulate a lot of stuff here, and you reduce a lot of the edges that we have on this side right here. Same for a lot of pieces right here. So if this is gonna be for games, if you're gonna keep the topology low, you can simplify this way more. And if this is not going to be for games and it's going to be for animation, so you're going to be using subdivision surfaces, you need to clean your loops more. Like you need to add, in this particular case, you need to add an edge loop that holds the whole thing together. Okay? Like a clean edge loop there on the cylinders. And cylinders with holes like this are difficult. They're like a tricky parts of topology, but you need to clean that up because this is not gonna hold. Like if I press number 3 on this mesh right now, it's gonna like deform very, very badly. Careful with the metal edgeware. We've talked about this before. You don't want to add metal edgeware everywhere. This is very, very important, guys. Things never get damaged in the same way, okay? So whenever you are doing this, there's gonna be areas that are gonna be damaged and areas that are not gonna be as damaged, okay? This is gonna really bring more of a visual interest to the whole thing. So yeah, metal edgeware is great. I love using metal edgeware for my stuff, but you gotta see that, or you gotta understand that there's not gonna be metal edgeware everywhere. There's gonna be areas that are gonna be cleaner, and there's gonna be areas that are gonna be more damaged, okay? Promise me, guys, promise me that you're not gonna be using metal edgeware everywhere. Like, bury it. You can add a little paint layer after you add your metal edgeware, and you can erase some of the metal edgeware that you're getting from the generator to really make it more interesting. Okay, look at the difference. Oh, damn, no, I painted on top of this. Oh, actually, we can do this. There we go. So that's without metal, or like with continuous metal edgeware, like hitting everywhere, and this is adding a little bit of variation. Doesn't that look more interesting? It makes it so that our eye finds this little like corners of metal edgeware and finds which parts are more interesting than others. So that's why it's important to always break up the little metal edgeware. Okay, so that one's good, Benjamin. I like that one. Again, another simple one. Not bad. I like the little scene. You followed the advice. Probably you heard that on one of our portfolio reviews. Okay, again, like I'm not sure if it's game or if it's subdivision surface. It looks a little bit of both, so you gotta be very, very careful on what the final like place of this thing is gonna be. And yeah, I like this one. This is what, like, oh, it's a posted thing. The welding looks very intense. Any welder out there will tell you that you did a horrible job at the weld because it's very rough. Welds tend to be a little bit smoother. You can see how much mass it's being added there, but it's fine. We're not welders, so it's understandable. Let's take a look at the topology. Yeah, again, look at that. Yeah, no, okay, so this is bad, man. This is bad. So this right here is something that we need to avoid, because you have a great model and great textures and it looks very, very nice. Like, this is something that I could definitely see in the game. But then I jump into the topology, and you are optimizing it quite nicely here. We have way too many edges right here. We can simplify and remove a couple of them. And then we have this. We do not do that, man. Look at that. Like, just that little welding thing is contributing to getting this asset all the way to almost 300,000 points. That's not how we optimize. How do we optimize? You can actually ignore this. Like, if you remove this thing from your high poly, that welding like line will be projected on your normal map and it's gonna look perfectly fine. But this does not work. Same for this bevels right here, okay? And this is what's confusing me about your projects, Benjamin. You're presenting this asset here, this like a post like a thing on Marmoset. That immediately tells me, hey, if it's on Marmoset, it's because Benjamin wants to do it for games. But then I see this topology, it's like, this is not ready for games, okay? Oh my god. I'm gonna get a heart attack, man. No, dude, no. Yeah, no, wow. Oh, no. Yeah, that's not good, man. I understand why you did it, because you really liked the welding, probably, and you really liked how it looked. But that's not how we do it, man. Like, this asset would immediately get sent back to you on a pipeline. They'll tell you, hey, reduce this, like, simplify this heavily. You can bake a lot of these things down, like especially those weldings. All of those weldings can be easily baked down. All of these bevels here on the letters, way too much, man. Like, an asset like this should be all the way down to, at the most, 10k triangles, easily. Okay. Now, I'm gonna give you a little offer, because this is an excellent example for learning for everyone. If you watch this video, or if you're right here right now, my friend, send me the model. If you want, send me the model, and I can show you how I would optimize this from a retopology perspective to get it all the way down to the amount of polygons that we need. Okay, so yeah, let's see, what does it say? I missed that one. I missed your message, Wolf Girl. What did you say? Oh no, I missed it. So yeah, it says, oh, Vexus Fire, there you go. Send me a DM on Discord, man. Okay, send me a DM on Discord, and we can work on this. I'll probably I'll do a video on YouTube explaining how we can get this from, in this case, 300,000 polygons all the way down to something that's more optimized for games. Okay. So yeah, thank you, man. It's a good stuff, and again, I'm joking and everything when I say I'm gonna get a heart attack. Of course, it's not that this is like the most horrible thing that I've seen. It's just that I want to really help you guys and explain to you why something like this can't work in a game. Okay, if we're using nanite, that would be the only sort of like justification we could do. If we're using nanite, this could work, but nanite it shouldn't be a crutch or an easy exit that we use. It should only be used on the places where we really need it. Okay, so yeah, send me a DM, Benjamin, on Discord, and we can organize the file sending so that I can take a look at this and show you how to optimize this, because your texture work is really nice. I really like what you did with the texture work here, and it's just a matter of optimization for games. Cool. Awesome. Let's go now with Tao. It says, hi, my name is Tao, a 3D character artist. I'm starting to rebuild my portfolio and looking for a remote job as well. It would be nice if I receive useful feedbacks from you so that I could develop my skills and make the port more beautiful. Thank you. Oh, I know who you are. I know who you are because I know that this is your entry for the Creatures Unleashed contest. I saw it the other day. It's very fucked up, man. So weird, so freaking weird, but I love it. I love it. Really cool stuff. We're gonna take a look at this next week, of course. So I'm not gonna delve too much into that. Okay, yeah, this is fun. The only thing that I don't like about this one is that it's just a sculpt. I would like to see, what's the word? I would like to see the retopology, textures, all the stuff. This is polypaint, but it's a cool concept. Hey, this is very scary as well. Andrew Arisa. Yeah, I want to see more breakdowns, man. Like, is this one finished? This one's very cool. Nice, Marma said. Yeah, okay, so this one's finished. Yeah, this one looks very, very cool. Is he from, like, Thundercats or something? He's got a weird proportion, like, very short legs compared to the upper body, but it works, because he looks very tanky, of course. Breakdowns, man. One of the things that you're missing heavily here are breakdowns. Okay, if you did this on Marmoset, and I can see you did here because of the render, submit the Marmoset file so that we can see the topology, the textures, the normals, because it's a really good sculpt, like the forms and the details, the props, like everything looks very, very clean, very pristine. But if we can't see how many UDEMs you're using or how many UVs you're using, if we can't see the amount of triangles, it's very difficult to evaluate how optimized things are. Yeah, another sculpt. And this one right here, Panda. This one's also pretty nice. Good hard surface stuff. Yeah, the face is fine. Nice. See, this almost, what's the word? Tricked me, but it's a comp, right? How do I know it's a comp? Well, the materials look a little bit CG, and there's no shadow, of course, down here. But yeah, this is a cool one. Again, I'm only seeing polypaint, I think. So we're not seeing the full process. That's what I would say, Thao, is hurting you the most as a 3D character artist, is the fact that you need to have more complete projects like this one. Like, I need to see that you can do, or rather, I already know that you can do a really clean, like, awesome sculpt in ZBrush. I just need to make sure that you can take that sculpt through the production pipeline so that you can work in a production. Okay? It's like, I'm gonna try to use a, what's the word? I'm gonna try to use an analogy here for everyone so that you understand why I am so insistent on good topology, good UVs, good everything. Imagine I'm building, or I'm gonna open a restaurant, right? And I'm gonna hire people, and I need to hire someone that's gonna help me with the cooking. So maybe I know you, and we've had some like meetings together, and you've cooked a really good hamburger. Like, I've seen you cook a hamburger, and you know how to cook it, and it has a very special seasoning, and you prepare like a special, I don't know, like preparation or whatever, and you're really good at grilling and preparing hamburgers. I want to hire you. It's like, you're the first person I'm thinking about because I've tasted that hamburger and it tastes very nicely, right? But if you don't show me that you can also do things like cleaning the dishes, cleaning the equipment, preparing things from scratch, doing other things that just hamburgers, right? Like if you show me you can also do or cook chicken and you can also do this other thing, that gives me confidence that when I hire you, if I throw something at you, like a challenge, I mean, not something physical, you will be able to handle it. If the only thing I know is that you cook a really good hamburger, then I will only feel safe hiring you to cook hamburgers, right? But if I want to open a restaurant that's going to be doing a bunch of different things, it becomes complicated. So the fact, and that's my point with you, Thao, the fact that you're a really good sculptor, because I can see that you really know how to sculpt, doesn't necessarily give me enough information to be sure that you're going to be able to handle other things as well. And that's what I need to see on your portfolio. If I see in your portfolio, oh, this dude can do, again, sculpting, retopology, jubies, lighting, he can do stylized work, he can do realistic work, he can do this, he can do that. I was like, okay, this guy knows his stuff. So I know I can throw him anything, throw stuff at him, right? Like challenge at him, and he's going to be able to do things properly. So that's what you want to focus on when doing your portfolio. You're in a good position, I think. Let's just have more complete pipeline work, I would say. Are those well marks something you would paint on the height? Yeah, Cerisol, sorry for taking long to answer that question, but yeah, like those I would either bake, since they're already modeled, I would just bake them down, or I would paint them in substance. That's right. How are we doing on... Okay, we're in a good speed. That's good, that's good. So now we go with Janice Salimov. Says, hi, my name is Janice. I'm your big fan from Russia. I've been doing 3D for 3 years now. My goal is to become a character artist and work on fantasy projects like Witcher or Black Myth Wukong. Thank you for the review. Let's take a look. Anurag is asking about this. He says, could you explain about real world skill and importance at the end of the live? Yes, I'll see if I can do it at the end of the live, or I'll just mention it here briefly. Okay, so we have a couple of characters. You're definitely going for this sort of like a realistic, creepy style. Again, similar to Black Myth Wukong or Elden Ring, which is great. This is one of the advices that I give you guys. Don't add stuff on your portfolio that you don't want to do. So if you don't like horror stuff, don't do horror stuff. Right now, this looks good. So we need to add some surface scattering to the skin. That's the first thing I noticed. Hair looks a little bit weird. I'm not sure if it's painted or if it's hair cards. Kind of looks like hair cards. Scarf, I don't like. This is one of those places where a marble designer could really work, because it looks very cardboardy. Same for textures, man. Be very careful with your textures. Your textures are lacking a little bit. Same for this, like straps. They look very wobbly. You want to make them straight. Make them look very, very straight. Like they're actually pushing. Here, let me show you. So when doing cloth and props, guys, this is a very, again, common thing. You really want to exaggerate things. So see how the shirt here looks very wobbly? You want to add some more wrinkles here to really exaggerate or show that this thing is being pushed towards the belt. Okay? This is where you need to study cloth. I've shown you a couple of resources before. I'm going to mention one of them again, which is George Bridgman's Drawing Cloth like series. It's a book, a very old book. You really want to add that sort of like effect where the cloth is going into the belt. Like it really shows, or it really feels like the belt is actually pressuring or generating some tension there. Okay? Same thing here for the belts. Keep them straight. Let the rigger worry about how to deform them properly. They usually add a chain of bones at the end to be able to move them. Yes, in the game they're not going to look straight all the time, but in your presentation you should definitely make sure that they look straight. They're going to look stronger that way, okay? Otherwise, they look wobbly. So be very careful about those kind of elements. And one more thing I'm missing here is wireframes. Again, it's difficult to judge whether or not this is ready for a game if we don't see wireframes. Janice. Snackish! Oh my god, thank you! We got 5 subs gifts here with Stanish. We're gonna get soon. We're soon gonna get to 100 subs here on Twitch. I never imagined we would get there so soon. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm working on Maya for 5 months or so, but now I want to learn ZBrush. Any advice on how should I approach other than your courses? try to do simple exercises. My best advice whenever learning any software, any software, I'm gonna give you guys, I'm gonna show you my secret to learning softwares, and I'm gonna show you right now. Okay, so there's one software that I've been wanting to learn, and I'm gonna probably start learning it next month when I have a little bit of more free time. So there's this Gaia software environment. Have you seen it? Gaia, this one right here. Is this one? Is it Gaia? No, it's not Gaia. Where is it? Is it with an E? There we go. Yes, with an E. So it's this software right here to do environments, to do big environments, right? Like landscapes and stuff. So I know that if I just like open this up and I try to say, hey, I'm gonna do the Great Canyon or something like that, it's not gonna work. Yes, I'm gonna go to the documentation. That's one of the things that I'm gonna do, Lord tell him. But I'm also gonna give myself an easy task. So I'm gonna say, okay, let's do a desert mountain. That's my project. No trees, no cactus, no nothing. Like I just want to do something like this. Like that's my first goal. Like I just want to learn how to do this little asset right here, because I know that if I get or I understand how to do this properly, the next step that I could do is like, okay, let's do something a little bit more complex with more smaller rocks and things like that. Have I managed to do this? Yes. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's add a couple of plants and a couple of elements right here. Was I able to do this right here? Yes. Perfect. So now you go to the really big stuff and you start making the full environment. Okay, so it's very, very important that whenever we're tackling a new software, a new project, a new anything, we start with small things. Very common mistake that I see with ZBrush is that people will try to do like really advanced stuff. Like it's like, hey, I'm gonna learn ZBrush, and my first project for ZBrush is I want to do like a gesture drawing anatomy sculpt like this. Like, no, dude, you're not gonna be able to do that if it's the first time you open ZBrush. But if it's the first time you open ZBrush and you're like, hey, I'm gonna try and do a basic alien, just a very traditional basic alien. This is a more manageable first project, like a more manageable thing to start doing. Once you do this, then you can start moving towards the more complex things and the more complex elements. So try to always do things step by step. Like if you are trying to run a marathon, right, you're not gonna just go out your door and start running 41 kilometers. You're gonna run a 5K first, and then you're going to do a 10K, and then you're going to go to the next step. That's how we learn everything, and that's how everything works in this life, okay? Like, break it down into smaller bites. Snackish says, thanks for reviewing my stuff and the tips. It was the mermaid with the bad hair. There you go, Snackish. I'm glad it was helpful for you, my friend. Again, anatomy. I remember yours. So anatomy is the one thing I would recommend focusing on the most, okay? Let's go with the next one. Let me drink some water because I'm got this very horrible runny nose. I feel like my voice sounds very weird as well. I'm working my way up to a dragon in ZBrush. Yeah, exactly. I showed you before, guys, like my first dragon I did in ZBrush, and it sucks. And now I did the head. I need to keep working on that, by the way, on the like big size head. I'm probably gonna record the assembly process this weekend. Says, hi there, my name is Adam, and I'm trying to get back into the games or VFX industry in an asset or environment role after losing my job from the strikes. Oh, that sucks. Although I'm proud of my professional work, I feel as though my personal work are not the level they should be, and I struggle on what to focus my portfolio on. Okay, let's take a look. Adam Bilya, asset environment artist. I mean, you already have some really big names right here, man, so I'm confident you're going to be able to get there as well. Your stuff looks good. In general, I think it looks good. I feel like in your case, my friend, especially because you already, I mean, come on, you worked on Transformers. Like, how high, like this is the top of the top, right? So I'm guessing you did some of the cars here. Part of modeling UV team. Yeah, man, like, once you're here, once you have this credentials, once you have this, again, experience, it's a matter of just like keeping your opportunities open, talking to people, networking, and showing them that you've already worked at a this is not AAA production, it's a Hollywood production. So my advice, because this is specifically your question, is try to check which of the pieces from your portfolio could get a little bit of a touch-up, right? So for instance, this one right here. I like this older observatory, but the render is not working. The rendering stuff, it's not working. The modeling looks fine, but it looks too muddy, right, on the render. Like, we're not really getting any highlight, we're not getting any specific, like, illumination effect. So you might want to, like, just take this project again and give it new life, okay? So just give it new life so that it really shows a better result. This trailer, for instance, again, very clean asset. My advice, you already have the asset, you already have the UVs. Do a version of this that's more destroyed, right? Like more damage with like graffiti and things like that, and show how you would incorporate it into a scene. Now, to you, and again, this is because you already have some credits on some big films right here. Try to talk to the people that you were working on these films, the people who were doing, especially the live action matching, like the composition matching, and doing big projects with them, like talking to one of them and be like, hey, let's work on a portfolio piece that both of us can benefit from. I'll do the modeling and texturing, you'll do the composition, and then you show this here in your portfolio, and you're gonna get a nice piece that's gonna help everyone. This TV, I'll probably just change the thumbnail. I know that this back part's probably the most interesting, but it just looks weird to see the TV facing like somewhere else. But yeah, man, like you have the skills. At this point, you have the skills and you have the credentials here. So at this point is just making sure that you can polish some of these pieces a little bit more and keep your eyes open. I know, and I'm very sorry that you got laid off. That sucks. It's a very bad situation to be in. But believe me, I'm telling you, you got the skills. Like you already like demonstrated you got the skills by working on this big films right here. So just be patient, keep working on your stuff, and look for those opportunities, okay? Let's go to the next one. How do you join the Discord? We're gonna link the, what's the word? The link in just a second there on YouTube. David, if you can help us, I'm okay is asking for it. Let's now go with Turalion. Turalion says, hi Abe, thank you for your contributions to the game development industry. My name is Alex, and I'm focusing on creating realistic environment art. Could you take a closer look at my texturing? At this stage, I've learned some useful techniques such as mask, pipelines, and trim sheets. Here's my portfolio. Well, if you already know that you're ignoring some stuff, then that probably means that you need to focus on that stuff, right? But let's take a look. Royal Crest of Lord Yaran. Give me 1 second, guys. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is an okay asset. I don't love it, and I think I don't love the material. I think it's a little bit too bumpy, too noisy for what we're trying to do. And it's not well optimized. What do I mean by it's not well optimized? Well, again, we have way too many elements right here, way too many triangles. And this is something we had a short a couple of months ago, and it went, I think it's one of the ones that has gotten like the most viral. And the problem is we're adding too much resolutions on things that are very, very small, right? So when we see this thing right here, what I see, I know you wanted to add this bevel, but then you added like a second bevel. See that? Like, see all of these triangles that we have right here? We can simplify this way, 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 way more, my friend. Same on this side, right? Like this belt buckle, it has absolutely no need to have all of these triangles. Look at that. Look at all of those triangles and loops that we have back there. Unneeded, completely unneeded. We don't need that much. Even all of this like loops that we have right here, we could simplify this way, 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 way more. Like this shield right here can easily go down all the way to 5k triangles. I know it sounds very crazy to say that, but all of these bevels right here, again, they're not needed. Why are they not needed? Because that information is going to be taken care of by the normal map. The normal map is going to capture that bevel and it's going to give you the information that you're looking for without actually needing all of that geometry. So from an optimization perspective, it's not greatly optimized. And from a texturing perspective, again, I feel like colors are way too saturated. There's too much dirt and dust like going around, and there's no like clear direction of where we're going. Okay, so I'll probably give this one another go. It's a good asset. It's a good piece. So if you want to fix it and redo it, that will be a good idea. Old cinema. Okay, this one I like. What is this? Unreal? Yeah, it's Unreal. Nice. Let's take a look at how you optimize this. Yeah, it's a good asset. Like, this is something that we could see again on a movie or something, or no movie, on a game. Sorry, like as part of the environment. I'm a little bit. There we go. This is what I was gonna say. I'm a little bit concerned about how you handle the elements. Oh man. So I'm very. It's. I don't even know how to say this. I have a very intense emotion right now because this detail right here, I really want to show you how to do this properly, like this thing right here and all of these details right here, because I can see that you model them again, and that's way too much geometry. It's not only bakes. It's not only bakes. That's the thing. It's a trick that I'm saving for the environment course. So I'm gonna save it, okay? I'm gonna save it for the environment course because it's a very cool trick that I want to show you later. But there's ways to simplify that and make it way more efficient, okay? But this is not bad. I like most of the other stuff, like this, like concrete elements and some of the walls. This is a good. It's a good road, okay? Like, you're going in the right direction for this sort of like environment stuff. Yes, it works like a decal, but it's not exactly a decal. But yes, it uses a little bit of decal information. Why don't you do a stream fixing people's work? That's like, we're gonna do. I'm not sure if we're gonna do a stream, Mango, but we're definitely gonna do a video next week for the hydrant that one of our students just shared with us. So yeah. Dr. Mo says, what I like about you is your honesty. I'm working on a very detailed character for the first time, and I really appreciate your opinion once of it. Yeah, go for it, man. Casey, it looks it looks really nice. Like, when that's the thing with this kind of details. If you do them, if you model them, yes, of course they're gonna look very nice. But we cannot afford, especially if you really want to optimize a game, we cannot afford to do this. I'm gonna tell you a personal experience. I'm working on a character. I'm gonna show it to you guys probably in like 3 weeks. I'm working on a personal project, and it's the character that I had to optimize the most because of the kind of like goal that I'm going for. It hurt me to optimize it that much. Like, I was in pain, like in little mental pain, when I was like, oh no, I need to collapse this more. And I remember the first pass I did for that character. It's a female character, so she was at 30k triangles, and I was able to bring her down all the way to 17k triangles. And every single time I was like optimizing and deleting edges, I was like, I can't believe I'm going this low poly. I haven't gone that low poly since like my first days as a student. Like, most of the stuff that I've done in recent years is relatively mid to high poly on the retopology stage. So for her, I was going really low poly. And it was like, damn, like, I was not, it was something that I forgot how it felt to go that low poly. But it's giving me a very optimized asset as a result. So it's very optimal for engine and for performance. So it's very important to do that as well. Fixing viewers' work would be a great series as well. Yeah, we're probably gonna do something like that. I need to see how I would again tackle it, but that's it. That's a very good idea. We should write that down as well, David. So any week where I don't know what to record about, that could be always a good option. So yeah, good stuff, man. Alexander, let's do more, because again, we only have 2 pieces here, so we definitely need to do a little bit more work. So now we go with Raul Gonzalez. He's from Spain, España. And I've been in the industry for 3 years already, but currently unemployed. I've been learning Lightning for 2 years, and for the past year, I started 3D. I want to change to environment art, and I've been learning Maya, ZBrush, and Painter. I live in South Korea now, so I'm not sure if I will be able to in the October stream due to time zones, but I will do my best. Thanks a lot in the advance. No, you're probably sleeping right now, right, Raul? Nice. Now, before I review your stuff, I want to mention something, guys, and I know that this is not something that everyone will be able to do, but here's the thing. You can create your own products as well, okay? So there's 2 paths that you can take when being like anything in the world, pretty much. You can work for someone, or you can offer something, right? A product or a service. So if you're having an issue like landing a job in a studio, but you have a really cool idea about something you can offer to someone, right? Like maybe in your case, man, you're in South Korea. What if you go and reach out to local industries and be like, hey, this is what I do. What if we do something where I do the 3D and you guys benefit from it? You then, instead of becoming an artist for a studio, you become a service provider, right? Like a product provider. And that's another sort of like a road that you can take as a professional artist. So I just want to leave that out there, guys, because I know it feels very safe to work for someone because that someone is the one that's going to be taking the decisions and you're just going to do the work and get the pay. But there's also another like huge world out there where you can do your own stuff and you can like find your own work pretty much. And even though it has its own challenges and its own rewards as well, it's another option for you guys out there. Who is the best BFX artist? I don't know. I'm not too much into BFX, to be honest. I'm okay. So I'm not sure who I would name as the best BFX artist. It's probably easier to say who are the best BFX production houses. And there's a lot of artists that work together to do that, right? So one that I personally like quite a bit is Pixomondo. So these guys are the ones that do a lot of the Game of Thrones stuff. So Pixomondo are a very, very good like BFX production company. They have multiple locations, as you can see right here: Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, London, Frankfurt, Stuttgart, Los Angeles. It's a good production house. There's another one, and I don't remember if I got an offer or if I had like an interview with them, but they're called The Mill Productions. They also have like multiple like studios around the world. They do more stuff for commercials and productions, not too much for movies. And then of course, if you go to movies, you got Weta, you got Lucasfilm, you got Industrial Light and Magic, you got all of this ones out there. Best way, here's an advice for finding these studios. Best way to do it is go online, look for a movie that you like, and go to the credits of the movie, and you're gonna find who worked there, and you can see the production houses. For games, this is a little bit more complicated, but not too complicated. For instance, right now, there's this new game that's coming out. It's Mario and Luigi Brotherhood, or Brothership. I'm probably gonna be getting this. My kid wants to see me play. So, this one's coming out. I'm not sure if it's out already, if it's coming out soon, but if you look for studio, you're gonna see what was the studio. Sometimes they keep this a little bit secret, but you're gonna see who the studio did it, or who was the publisher. There we go. So it's developed by Nintendo. Acquire, I think it's the studio. So you look for Acquire Game Studio. Acquire Game Studio. And you might find information about that one. There we go. So of course this is a Japanese one. I'm not gonna be able to get too much information. But if you literally do a little bit of Google foo and you look for what they're doing and how they're doing it, you will be able to see or look at more studios and more. You'll learn more about who is making the games that you like and love, guys. Because sometimes we get too tunnel vision, I think, and we just think about Blizzard, Riot, Activision, and this like big guys out there. But there's so many small studios that I wouldn't even consider like indie studios. They're just small studios that they're doing amazing work. Like I remember the Mario Rabbids studio, Vandal. Is it Vandal? Or what? Or was it Ubisoft? I'm not sure, but there's like what ends up happening, guys, and this is again more like business side of things, is that there's one entity known as the publisher, right? And then there's the actual creators of the things. So Nintendo, Ubisoft, Activision, they are publishers, and they will give money to the studios so that the studios develop the actual elements. And yes, the game will sell Nintendo, the game will sell Ubisoft, but it's actually another smaller studio that's doing the whole like job. So when you apply, you're not really applying to Nintendo, you're applying to this smaller studio that will then work for Nintendo, right? So keep that in mind again on your journey. Nice, this looks good, man. Old medieval props. Okay, good stuff. Very well optimized, amazing optimization. Now, in your case, I think you might be going a little bit too hard on the optimization, especially because these assets are supposed to be a little bit more realistic, right? So I think we might be going a little bit too low. So I'll probably double the amount, at least for the metal rings, so they look a little bit rounder. There's a trick with the cylinder. You guys want me to show you that one? I'll show you this trick. This is a very simple trick that you can do with cylinders, and it works amazingly well. That allows you to optimize and give you a nicer curve on the whole thing. So give me 1 second while Maya opens. But yeah, this is good stuff, Raul. This is good stuff. Again, the only like critique that I could give you is that they're relatively simple assets. And I talked about this one the last time. So if you want to showcase your skills, do a wagon. Right? Because everyone does barrels, everyone does boxes, but how many people can actually do like this wagon right here? Actually, don't do that wagon. I want to do this one. I'm gonna save that one for myself because that's a very cool wagon right there. But yeah, like doing a full wagon, right, with all of the props and all of the elements, it's more challenging and more interesting than just doing a basic barrel. Because again, pretty much everyone can do a barrel. So be very mindful on which concept you pick, because it's gonna, like a wagon like this one right here, or like this one right here, will look way nicer on your portfolio than just a barrel. And the techniques are exactly the same, right? Like the techniques are exactly, it's just like planks and metal bits and things like that. So from a modeling perspective, yes, of course this is gonna take a little bit longer, but it's also gonna give you more points on your portfolio than just this assets right here. So here's the trick that I wanted to show you guys. When you're modeling things that are round, especially, again, like rings. Where's the pipe? There we go. So when you're modeling things like this, one very common issue that we have is that we want to have a very nice like a roundness on the outside, but we don't want to increase the poly count too much. So I'm going to bring my subdivision axis all the way to 48, right? And as you can see, that gives me a very smooth effect there on the outside of the ring. It's a very round effect. But we're also increasing the poly count all the way down to 384. So what we do here is we grab each element right here, or each corner, we skip one and we grab one. Oh, get rid of object X. There's a little bonus tool here that I like to use. It's called the select every nth. So you grab one, you grab the other one, and then there we go. And then you collapse those. Select this one, select this one. The bonus tool is select every nth. There we go. And then we collapse those. So as you can see now, we went from 384 triangles to only 288, while still keeping the very nice clean surface on the other side. And the cool thing is, especially if this is for like a barrel, right? We're gonna delete all of those faces. That's gonna even remove more of the stuff. And since these things are gonna be pretty much like going inside of the barrel, you're never gonna see them really, right? They're gonna be hidden. So you're not gonna notice the change in silhouette on that element, because you're just gonna notice this flat face. And we could even do this again, or try this again here. Arnold. Bonus tools. There we go. Let's... Oh, it didn't work. Okay, we're gonna have to do this manually. But I could even go this one more time and collapse all of these edges. Right? That's very aggressive, right? But as long as this like corners are inside of the barrel, you can imagine the barrel is gonna be like there, right? So you're never gonna know that those things are very like faceted on the inside of the barrel. And we just got this piece all the way from 384 like triangles all the way down to 228. So this optimizes things quite heavily while still keeping a very round effect. Now I will probably not start with the 48 side cylinder. I will probably do with something like 32 or something. Why not use creases? That's a great question, Anthony. The reason why I don't like using creases is because creases might not work the same in every other software. If you're gonna keep this object here, if you're just gonna do renders inside of Maya for like a movie or like a commercial or whatever, fine, use creases. Same for ZBrush, same for Blender. Creases are fine. But if you're gonna be bringing things in and out, sometimes that crease information doesn't transfer perfectly. So the way Blender handles creases won't be the same as the way Maya handles creases. I don't even think Unreal handles creases, to be honest. So that's why I particularly don't like using creases as much, okay? Now, I saw this one, Raul. I'm gonna be very honest. I actually saw your portfolio before starting. I actually saw most of the portfolios before starting. I like the final composition. Like, it looks like something from a movie. It looks cool. But such a simple asset, man. Such a simple asset. Like, I don't get anything from this triangular looking pyramid. It reminds me a lot, and I know this is not a joke. Like, I know you didn't do this as a joke, but there was this meme video several years ago where someone was showing his, like, portfolio. It was called, I think, The Most Amazing Portfolio. And it was just like a cube. And he is what, like low poly and was just like an 8-sided or 6-sided cube. High poly and he just subdivided it. Animation and the cube just like fall forward. Rigging and he just added one bone to the bottom of the cube. So it looks a little bit like that. It's like, yeah, I mean, I get it. It's a cool pyramid, but it's just a pyramid. Like anyone who knows the pipeline can do this pyramid in 1 hour, right? Like this process that you did right here, anyone should be able to do it in 1 hour. But I do like this, again, I do like this composition at the end that looks like a movie, so that's cool. I'm a little bit also concerned about like this assets right here, because it looks to me like you're using a lot of like the Quixel Megascans, which again, it's a good result. You're doing some good like mashing of all of these things. But what is it that you bring to the table? That's the question, right? Like that's the question that you need to ask, and not only you, Raul, anyone else watching this. The question you need to ask is, what am I bringing to the table? Because right now, Raul, I see these assets, I did see these Quixel assets, and again, I'm sure anyone in the chat right now, as long as they know how to get them into Unreal and into Quixel Megascans, can replicate the scene. So that means that anyone can replace you in your job, and that sucks, right? Because you're not bringing anything unique to the table. Similar to this one right here. I can see here that you say, I'm doing the relight of the Unreal Marketplace. Well, you didn't do any of these assets, right? This is like an asset, like a packet that you got, and you're just doing the lighting. If you're gonna do a lighting exercise, the best advice I can give you is do the light on different scenarios. How does it look at sunset? How does it look early in the morning? How does it look in the middle of the day? How does it look at night? How does it look if the city is burning? How does it look if there's an eclipse? Like, there's so many things that you can do with light, and it's fine that you're reusing the assets. Like, I like the composition that you're doing here. But again, I'm not seeing anything special, and that's what's complicated with this sort of stuff. This one is similar. Okay, so cool. So in this one, there's more stuff. This is what you're bringing to the table. You're doing a little bit more design work, which is great. I do feel like we're missing a little bit on the lighting. I don't love the lighting on this one as much, but I like the breakdowns that you did right there. Again, relight. You're just doing relights, man. So if you're a level artist, I need to see the actual 3D stuff, okay? That's what we need to see. Like, how are you doing the 3D stuff? Or in this case, if you as a level artist, your main, again, selling point is, I know how to place things properly, then I need to see a little bit more of that in the environment, okay? Hope that helps, my friend. Later, Lord Tellum. Let's see. yeah, right. That's right, stranger. Next portfolio review, 30 wagons on the portfolios. That's just an example, guys. So now, since I mentioned the wagon, you might want to look for other things similar to a wagon that could help, right? It's just an example. I'm creating a Wolverine character in ZBrush, but I don't know how to sculpt the suit. As I'm a beginner, would you help me with that? Yeah, so if you're doing Wolverine, you might want to check the anatomy course, this one with Duncan. Because with Duncan, we do the suit. Like, I show you how I did the suit. And the first thing you need to do is you need to have really clean topology and anatomy. Because if you have really clean anatomy, it's very easy to just like extract the suit from it and generate the rest of the superhero suit. So you might want to check that one out. Let's see. Let's go to the next one. It says Christian, hi Ave. I know my projects are all different from each other, but at the end of the day, I just want to work in the industry and be part of creating beautiful stories. I feel like something's missing, but I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't have anyone to give me the kind of constructive feedback I need to improve or tell me what I should lean into more. Some of my latest projects I really like, but I feel like they're missing that wow factor. Let's take a look. Anthony says, I've got a question, Abe. Who do you export your material clay for future projects? Export for Maya or Blender? My clay renders, I do on both of them, to be honest. But lately, I've been using Blender because it's a little bit faster, and I already have the scene set up, which is the scene that I did for the ZBrush stuff. Let me see if I have it here. Yeah, this one. So I have this scene already set up with the materials and everything. So it's very easy. Just drag it, maybe change the color of the material a little bit, and that's it. Oh, by the way, guys, tomorrow we're gonna be releasing another video. You guys might want to watch it. It's about the gargoyle that we've been working on. So here's a sneak peek. Where is this one? There we go. So we're gonna go through the full process, and I'm gonna super optimize. Remember, we were talking about optimization. So I'm optimizing this prop for BR. So we're gonna go high poly, retopology, UVs, texture, and then we're gonna get this into Unreal Engine. So this one's gonna air tomorrow. Normally we don't release videos on Saturday, but in this case, we're gonna have a special occasion. So that one's gonna be fun. There we go. So yeah, okay. Okay, so we're missing the wow factor. That's what you're telling me, my good friend Christian here from Bulgaria. Look at that, from all over the world. Yeah, I can see what you mean. And the first thing that we need to be very honest about is that there are certain pieces that are not going to work as well. Okay, so for instance, this one right here. I know you probably had a lot of fun working on these characters, but this is not going to get you a job. Like, if I'm being brutally honest, this is not going to get you a job. I'm not sure if you animated this or if you used some of like the Mixamo things. I applaud the fact that you did the whole scene, and again, you were telling the whole story, and this is what drives us, right? Like, you wanted to create a scene with 2 samurais fighting, and you did. That's great. But now, especially if you want to get a job, you need to understand that what we're looking for is quality, okay? So we do have storytelling, but we need to find that quality. This one's not bad, this 3DS. We need to work a little bit more on the render. Check out, again, the render course, the free render course that I have, so that you can get better materials and better, like, displays on this thing. And again, try to tell a story. You should be able, Christian, to very easily build a table, add a cup of water, add the cartridge out here, add, I don't know, like a TV. Like, you can build a small little gaming setup here to showcase this piece in a better light, okay, with a better story. And let's get rid of some of this, okay? Like, I understand what you were going for, Ozymandias and everything. It doesn't read that way, okay? It's not reading properly, so it doesn't become a successful piece, and therefore it's not gonna be good for your portfolio. Same for this one. If you wanna showcase the car, showcase the car. But you're saying, hey, I modeled this car, you downloaded this car, so it's not your car, it's not your work. Might not be the best place here to show it on this particular one. Okay, this is the Punisher's challenge. Yeah, you did a good job, man. But again, we need to work a little bit more on the quality of stuff. And I can see you improve on this one. Like this gun right here, it shows to me that you're learning, of course, about the process and the pipeline, because this definitely looks a little bit better. What we need to improve on this one is, especially the hard angles, we need to exaggerate the silhouette a little bit more. What do I mean by this? Let's go to Krita real quick. So what I mean by this is, when we're working with these things, whenever we have a change in materials, there's usually a little bit of a shadow, okay? So I would expect to see a little bit of a shadow here, and not just painted faces. I'm not sure if these are just painted faces, but I would push the metal just a little bit higher, okay? That will give us that sort of like very nice difference. You're also gonna get like a nicer soft shadow on the inside, and that's gonna again separate the materials a little bit more, because right now those separations look razor sharp, and in the real world you're never gonna have razor sharp effects. There's always gonna be a little bit of a bevel, right? So that's gonna help separate the elements. That little distinction right there. See how much nicer that looks? And it's just, right now I'm just painting over it, but if you literally take this part of the model and you just scale it a little bit more, that's gonna really push it up to the next level to make it look more realistic, okay? So it's kind of like creating the inset for this assets, because otherwise it looks like a sticker, because you got that bumpiness of the carbon fiber thingy, and it looks just like a sticker. So that's why it's very important to add those like material separations or material definitions. Let's see. Ape Design, what's up, bro? What's up? But yeah, this is good stuff, man. Now, one of the best advices I can give you is pick a focus, okay? Because you're doing character animation, you're doing gun design, you're doing vehicle design, you're doing prop design. So pick a direction that you want to work for, and make sure that the next couple of projects are aimed towards that specific direction, okay, Christian? I think that's gonna really help you. And decide whether you want to make things for games or for film, because right now I'm not seeing game stuff, I'm seeing more like traditional film or commercial stuff. If that's your direction, that's fine, but pick what you want to do for, like how you want to optimize your pipeline towards. Shashank, there we go. Wait, is this another Shashank? I'm not sure if I've seen your stuff before, but I think it's the same name, right? Is that a common name? I know we have some Indian viewers right now. Is Shashank a common name in India? Here in Mexico, for instance, Juan is a very common name. Which one is other? Luis? No, Luis. Not. Maybe Alejandro. It's a very common name. We have another very common name. I'm trying to remember. Juan is definitely the most common one. Anyway, so let's take a look at your message. It says, I've been working in the 3D industry for almost 2 years now. Most of my work until now is hard surface, confidential, so it can't post on our station, but I'm really fascinated by characters these days, and I'm trying to practice some anatomy by my... Jose, there you go. Jose's another one. That's right. Some anatomy by myself. I'm planning for masters in Germany or France. What can I do for my chances on selection? Okay, let's take a look. Hey, thanks for the follow, alias Valerie. Shashank is a relatively common name in India. Yeah, okay. So this is good. Cars, I've said this before. I modeled one car when I was a student. I'm never modeling another car in my life again. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. But yeah, this is perfect topology, man. Really good. It's definitely a little bit denser in certain areas than others. But yeah, this is good stuff. Yeah, this is a good mask as well. Oh, wireframes, man. Very important, okay, Shashank? Very, very important to add some wireframes, because this one looks very, very nice. It's a very nice model with a lot of like intricate details, so we definitely need some. Okay, this one is looking a little bit on the soft side. Okay, so it might be because of the metal edgeware that's way too intense. Here, I'm gonna show you a trick. So this is from the texturing sort of like department, right? So for instance, if we take a look at this part right here, due to how this metal edgeware is working, you get the impression that this thing is soft, right? Like that corner is soft. You want to make that corner more intense. Make sure to remove or rather to make that metal edgeware more intense. See that? So if I push the metal edgeware like that, it immediately looks more sharp, right? That's very, very, very important. Let me show you the difference there. So this is what we have, and by just like changing or modifying how that metal edgeware is affecting the element, it immediately looks more sharp. And it's not about changing the topology. Like the topology is fine. Like I can see the very sort of like low topology. Do we have a wireframe here? Yes, awesome. So yeah, that's very nicely simplified. We could optimize it a little bit more, but that's nicely simplified. It's the texture that's hurting you here. So it's a matter of pushing the metal edgeware. You can do this with a paint layer inside of the substance. Just push the metal edgeware so that it's sharper. Okay. If you push that, and again, if we remove a little bit of metal edgeware from certain areas, we create that contrast on the different parts. That makes it look way more interesting. Okay. Can you guys see the difference there? How like changing the metal edgeware makes the object look way sharper. And again, I'm not changing anything. And then, again, here's where you gotta be very mindful of the details. If this thing is pushing out, we're gonna have a nice little like highlight right there. Same for this corner right here. We're gonna have a highlight right there. And again, that helps sell the fact that that element or that part of the weapon is shining a little bit more. Let me get closer there. So this is what separates a good artist from a great artist. The fact that first, you can notice this sort of things, and second, you know how to push that thing manually. Like you're not gonna depend on generators or masks or anything. You're gonna go in there and really take the time to polish this sort of thing, okay? Because this gives me the vibe of like a hand-painted texture axis, the ones that we would normally see in World of Warcraft. But instead of doing hand-painted, you went the PBR route, which is fine. I've seen some games that do this as well. But again, we gotta be careful with those details to really help push the effect and sell the effect of that like damage that we have right here. Okay. Again, we don't want metal edgeware everywhere. We gotta keep cleaner surfaces. And that's going to give us the sharp look. Because that shade, look at this. I'm going to do it right here. So if I just remove all of this metal edgeware before that big hit that we have right there. And I remove all of this metal edgeware on this side as well. Right? Now that border looks sharp. Like really sharp. Now you want to add a little bit of metal edgeware? That's fine. We can do it. It's going to be very soft, right? Just a couple of details here. And now that element looks razor sharp. Okay? So it's that like play in texture. And again, we're not changing, this is very important, we're not changing the low poly. The low poly is exactly the same. It's all in the textures. Okay, and then yeah, we can have the highlights. We can add a little bit more highlight there to really make it like shine. But you can look at the difference between this area that I just worked on and this area that I haven't done anything to. This looks like it's chunky, like it's made out of Play-Doh, right? It looks soft. And this one looks sharp. And it's all about how we perceive the changes in these planes right there. Okay? So be very careful with your textures, guys. Textures can really make or break very, very heavily a lot of our work. You always want to be very mindful. And I know this is a paint over, but that's how it works. You can do the exact same process that I just did here inside of Substance by just removing. In this case, it's about removing a little bit of the metal edgeware to really make it look like intense. Cool. So yeah, that's a good one, Shashank. And finally, we have this one. So you mentioned you want to get into anatomy. This is a good start. There's definitely some proportion things that you need to address. And anatomy is one of those disciplines within the art world that you really need to study. It's about studying. Yes, it's about practicing as well, doing the work, sculptures, drawing, and all of these things. But it's a lot about actually doing the research, like understanding muscles, understanding bones, understanding proportions, ligaments, connections, all of these things. I was talking to another student yesterday, and I recommended two. These are actual like medical anatomy books. One of them is Grey's Anatomy, like the show, but it's the actual book that the show is based on. So this is like a huge thing. You probably should be able to get like one of the old versions in PDF. And the great thing about this one is that it has a lot of very cool anatomical drawings of the whole body so that you understand where the connections and all of the elements are. You don't need to learn all of the intricate veins and things around this area, for instance, but let's take a look, for instance, like the pectoral muscle. Right, very famous one. And you're gonna find this type of drawings, which are very, very good to understand how and where these things are like connecting to. So you really get to explore and understand. So that's one, the Grey's Anatomy, and the other one's called Moore's Anatomy. So those were the two books that I had when I was in med school. Moore's Anatomy's illustrations are a little bit nicer. They look a little bit more like superheroes. So I really like, you get this sort of like very interesting effects. For instance, here, look at this. This is beautiful. This is gold here. I always tell you about this. So this right here is explaining the insertion point of the pectoral major. So the pectoral major inserts itself on the whole sternum, on a little bit of the clavicle, and it goes all the way right here to the arm. Look at that. Beautiful, right? Beautiful. So understanding that, we're not really going to sculpt this. We're not really going to translate it into ZBrush or Substance or anything. But just understanding where things are located in the human body can really up your game in character creation. So it's that sort of like, again, it's the little details, the little information, the bits of knowledge that will make the difference between a good artist and a great artist, okay? So there we go. Let's now go with Manoj Sudusinj says, "Hi, I just found you. I have seen your TikTok content. Today is the day I found this server. I'm Manoj from Sri Lanka, a self-learned 3D artist. Or self-thought is the usual concept that we use, not trying to nitpick or anything. Facing a downfall because of an inactivity for about 2-3 years. I was focused on products so far and recently realized the industry is changing. I always wanted to move myself as a game as artist, so all the reasons to face such a downfall in my career are not publishing my works and not in communities. So I have to start almost everything. I've recently updated my portfolio and there are game assets still in progress. Let's take a look." So the first thing I can tell you, Manoj, is that yes, it's very scary when we haven't been doing anything for the past like couple of years, right? And you need to understand this, and this is a message that I want everyone to understand. So it has to do with being very honest with ourselves, okay? Let's say today, for whatever reason, I, Ave, decide to stop doing 3D and I become something different, like a chef, right? And I start working as a chef or like cooking for the next 5 or 10 years. And then in 2033, 2034, I'm like, hey, I want to go back to 3D. Well, the thing is, a lot of you guys that are watching right now will continue to work as 3D artists for the next 10 years. So you will be 10 years ahead of where I'm going to be if I decide to come back at that time, right? So it would be very dishonest of me to try to compare myself to you and to compete against you, because you would be way further ahead in your career. So the same thing is happening here with you, my friend. If you are now jumping into the 3D industry, you are, let's say, 2 or 3 years behind those who have continued to work as 3D artists for the past couple of years. That doesn't mean that it's lost for you. That's not what I meant. Like, what I mean is you just need to be very honest of where you are right now and work from that specific point forward, okay? But you cannot blame yourself, or you cannot blame anyone else who has been doing this for a longer time. Now, if I take a look at your assets, this is good. I like it. This is a cool, like, little car right here. We of course need to take a look at some of the elements. Sketchfab is supposed to close soon, I think. So you might want to change this to Marmoset. There we go. So again, what I normally like to look at is the topology. Yeah, a little bit on the heavy side, not extremely heavy, but especially since you have a lot of flat areas, you don't really need a lot of this like details, especially if this is going to be for games. And I think you did mention that you want to do games, right? Yeah, game assets. So for games, we definitely need to optimize this a little bit more. I'm not seeing how many like triangles we have right here. I don't think we have this information here on the Sketchfab, but this is definitely on the heavy side. Like all of this inside triangles, I'm not sure if they're the same at the outside. No, see that? We have thickness. Do we need thickness is the question that I would ask, right? Because if this window is going to be like solid like that is right now, you can delete all of the triangles on the inside and you're not even going to see them. So it's very, very important that that we optimize this a little bit more. Same for this one. Like if we have this flat plane right there, why do we have this many triangles? We can easily reduce this all the way to 6 squares or 8 plates right there, and no one's gonna know the difference because it's a very sort of like sharp angle element. Okay, so my advice for you, Manoj, is to try and take some of the assets that you've already done. Like this product assets are really good. Like this jewelry stuff, nice with the whole process. So we need to do more stuff, and we need to do more stuff, and we need to prepare it properly for games, which means optimizing assets. So for instance, on this bike right here, the wheels, all of the details there on the threads of the wheels, you need to bake those down. You're not gonna have that much geometry available for a game asset on this bike. So my best advice, because I know you wrote this on the message there, don't get discouraged. Okay, don't get discouraged with the stuff that you've been doing or just stop doing. This is your time now to start working on it again, and believe me, you have time. The industry will continuously need new artists, and this is one of the other points that I've talked about. Everyone wants to work at the big studios right now. Again, Riot, Blizzard, all of these big games out there, but you don't realize that at one point those were small studios as well. Like Riot 20 years ago was nothing. It was just a very small group of people that took a modified version of Dota and started doing their own stuff. And if you go back to League of Legends in like 2010, right? Like it looked like shit. It looked really bad, right? Like this is what they had at the time, and a lot of the assets were reused. Nowadays, we look at the beautiful art of character artists doing great work, but a lot of people don't want to go to a studio that's doing this kind of stuff right now, today, because they want to work at the big ones. But you could be going to a small studio that is doing these things right now, today, and in 10 years, you're going to still be part of a big studio that's now doing great stuff. Another one I can show you is like Larian Studios, right? Like everyone talks about Baldur's Gate now, but they were doing Divinity Original Sin a couple of years ago, and the quality of course was not as good as Baldur's Gate, but it still was a good game. So if you were with Larian, again, like 15 years ago doing Divinity, then at one point you will be growing with them and you would be working on Baldur's Gate 3 last year, okay? But again, a lot of people don't want to go through that, the grinding process. I know it's difficult, and I know not every studio will get there. Like maybe you join a studio with the hopes that the studio will grow, and 5 years later, boom, the studio is closed. Well, that's fine, but you did grow as an artist in those 5 years, and you did do very cool things throughout those years, which will eventually allow you to jump to a better studio. Okay, that's what we call the career ladder, right? Like you go through the career ladder, and you keep doing and doing better things. You grow with the studio, and I feel like that comes from a very sort of like what's the word that they use? Like people think that you deserve something, entitlement, right? Like it comes from an entitlement where we think we deserve to be working at the best studio just because we went to school and just because we have a cool portfolio. I mean, you might have that opportunity, but if you don't have that opportunity, you need to build up to that opportunity, okay? So keep that in mind, my friends. Let's go with Harsh. Says, hi, I recently graduated from 3D Artist. I want to review my work and I want to know what I should add on my portfolio. Well, the first thing I can tell you, man, is you definitely need to add more stuff. Because if you just graduated and you just have 2 pieces, that's very few pieces. This I don't particularly like, and I'm gonna tell you why I don't like it. I know it looks like a Power Rangers character, but it's just weird design choices. I'm not sure where you took this from, like if there's a specific element or a specific design that you're following. The modeling looks very low polish, very low polish, Harsh. So I would really encourage you to work a little bit more on the modeling skills, because they look very blocky, especially the sword. And textures, they also look very simple, okay? So this right here, I'm not sure it's the best work, to be honest. And I know you're here on the chat, so that's why I'm being a little bit more brutally honest. But it's difficult for me to picture where this character would be on a game or in a production, okay? Now, this next one does look a little bit better. I think you did a better job here. We need to improve a little bit on our lighting, and especially you're using Unreal Engine, so there's absolutely no reason to be using something that looks a little bit more realistic, like Lumen, to get like more realistic bounces around the whole thing. You need to fill in the scene with more stuff. So if you already have some of this barrels and boxes and things like that, you need to give the CD a little bit more life by filling things in. And it would be very useful if you could show the mannequin, the Unreal mannequin, show us how it looks here compared to everything else. Because some elements look very big, and then some elements look very small. So that's definitely making it look a little bit weird. It's definitely better, like this composition right here, I feel, or this work right here, is definitely better, Harsh, than the one that I just saw, than the other, like, character. My advice, because it does look like you're, again, on the early stages. I know you just graduated, but that means you're in the early stages of your 3D career. So focus on prop creation before doing characters. Make sure you really nail the prop creations. Like some of these ones look fine, like the pods and like this oil tank or gas tank, but some of the others definitely need more work, like those sandbags, some of these like front elements. I need to see topology as well, Harsh. It's very important for us to see topology, and UVs, like how you're managing UVs, because I have the impression that you're not using modular UVs or like trim sheets, and you're going for like big UV sets to just like cover all of the information on these elements. Now, keep also in mind, this is important from an environment design perspective, that you will have a little bit more grunge and stuff on the lower parts of the element. We need to see that, because otherwise it's not sort of like merging with the ground. So we need to see a little bit more of this. And you can use decals to capture this information. That's one option, or that's one way to do it. Or you can just like model more stuff to place on those elements, like little trims, okay? Thank you, Wolf Girl. Thank you. See you later. Very well. So yeah, that will be my advice for you, Harsh. Let's go with the next one. Florimond says, hi, I'm a first year student at New Edge 3 from France. I've been passionate about art for a long time. I started working with 3D around a year and a half ago, and now I enjoy every aspect. Currently, I'm focused on becoming a character and creator artist. Nice. We got some cool stuff in here. I've seen this concept before. Someone else did it. Didn't we have another student that did this one a couple of months ago? Yeah, looks good. Looks good, 31. Looks good. Now, I see you have a lot of digital painting. I normally recommend, if you want to be a 3D artist, I recommend separating the 2D stuff from the 3D stuff, because it can get a little bit confusing. Like this is Lucy from Cyberpunk, and this is a 2D piece. But since you're a young 3D artist, it might look like it's actually made with 3D. So my advice is separate. I know you have, oh, you do have it separate. Oh, there we go. My bad. So I'm going to focus on the 3D for now, and then we'll take a look at the 2D. So 3D, it's looking good. You're doing your anatomy studies. That's great. Here you have a very common mistake. And I don't, well, actually I do know. It's because it's very confusing. I had this mistake when I was a younger student as well. Right here. So this is a very common like anatomy mistake on the forearm. you will have the flexors on the inside and you will have the extensors on the outside, but there's a group of muscles, two muscles actually, three muscles, that will actually go a little bit higher, and this is very, very important. They're called the extensor carpi brachialis, extensor carpi radialis longus, and brachioradialis, and they'll do this. They'll start roughly halfway across the upper arm, and they'll cross or wrap around the arm and go to this connection point right there. So you did have them properly there, but you do need to push them a little bit higher up, okay? Because these muscles will actually give you the silhouette of the arm. These are what gonna give you, when you see an arm, like the silhouette of an arm, you got the deltoid, you got the bicep, you got the flexors, and these ones will have the high point a little bit higher than the flexors. They'll have an unbalanced silhouette right there. So you can see right now, this is a very balanced silhouette. The spikes or the points are at both the same point. So that's why we need to push these ones a little bit higher, because their insertion point is a little bit higher. And that's what's gonna change the silhouette of the arm right there. See that difference? That's what we're looking for. This or like difference, and this like higher insertion point. And that's why learning anatomy is so important. Because understanding these connection points and these insertion points will give you the key to really place the elements where they're supposed to be. Okay? Let's go back to your anatomy study. But it's a good study. It's just we need to focus a little bit more on that, on those specific details right there, Florimond. Let's go back to 3D. You got some cool aliens here. This Batman is nice. I like the stylization. You did a really good job on the stylization. Stylization is hard, by the way. It's not super easy. So I can see that you have a good knowledge about ZBrush. Keep pushing that. Creature concept looks very Venomish, alien-like, but it's a cool one. Oh, that sculpt looks very nice. I feel. What are you doing your textures? You're doing Substance Painter. Yeah, I feel like we could push the textures a little bit more. Let me show you a trick here real quick. So a very common mistake that we do with Substance Painter is that we forget to add more color variation to our elements. Okay, so here, for instance, what we can do is I can grab a paint, and I'm gonna use a purple color, like a very intense purple color, and I'm gonna add this on the lower sides of the element. Okay, so like on the crevices of the element, and then I can change the blending mode to color. There we go, something like that. And as you can see, by just adding a little bit of purple on the crevices, the picture just like pops out a little bit more. See that? So we're no longer seeing just a basic color information, just like a basic black color information everywhere. We're actually seeing a little bit more, you know, interesting color and tone variation on some of the characters, like parts. And this makes the character look more interesting. And we can repeat this with highlights. So I'm gonna go for like a warmish highlight right here. And we're gonna add a little bit of this highlight on the high points of the character. And again, you can do this with procedural stuff or paint this inside a substance. And if we set this again to saturation, well, no, in this case, we're probably gonna do, there we go, like an overlay. Yeah, let's do an overlay. And let's just keep this very, very low. See that? So it's just a little bit of color variation. It's almost like unnoticeable, but it breaks out the sort of like monotony that we had. This is what we had before, and by adding this color information, we can really make it pop a little bit more. And this happens, I know this sounds weird, but this actually happens in the real world. So if you look, for instance, where is it? Here. If you look for skin colors cross polarization, there's a technique with photography that allows you to take pictures of things without seeing the reflection, the bumpiness. And if we do that, if you take a look at how the skin looks without the glossiness, you're gonna see that there's a lot of tone variation on our skin, right? So we're gonna have a little bit of red here, a little bit yellow here, a little bit of bluish here. So that's sort of like changes in color and in saturations are very, very important. That's what we're adding right here. It's just a little bit of an extra, but look at that. Like, look how much the purple brings this thing up. That's very, very, very important. Like, having that sort of like color variation on your elements will really push them to the next level. It's not color map. No, it's not color map that 1 3D artist. It's color variation within the color map, okay? And again, you can see this in animals. So for instance, if we look for, I did this recently. I did a trout recently. Look at the trout, right? So if I tell you, hey guys, do a 3D trout, most of you were gonna do just like a brown trout. But if you really analyze the colors, even in this brown trout, you're gonna see that we have some pinks, we have some blues, we have some grays, some yellows, some oranges. So it's that complexity on the actual tone of the element that can really bring your textures to the next level, okay? So always play with a little bit of that sort of like variation on the colors and saturations of your element. Of course, we don't want to push it to a level that it becomes like a clown, right? Like we don't want to do this. That's way too much. But if we keep it really low, you can see that that's just 10%. 10% opacity of just that little extra purple color right there. That's part of the skin, and we already have a very nice effect. I'm gonna show you one more example. Sharks. So if you take a look at the shark skin, right? Look at that. It's not just gray. Like, sharks are not gray. There's some deep purples, some red oranges, some whites, some blue tones over here. So there's so much color variation on the tones of our character that we can use to really push a little bit of that here on our sculpt. Because this is a great sculpt, by the way, Florimon. I love this sculpt. Again, this one with a little bit of a hand-painted texture approach. Oh, it will look so good as well. Too many UVs. That will be my last little like advice for you right there. Too many UVs. But yeah, you got some good stuff. Some really good stuff. I like it. So keep pushing. Keep doing more stuff and show a little bit more of the breakdowns. So for instance, on this one, I would love to see how you handle the topology as well, or if it's just a sculpt and a little bit of the wireframe. But good stuff here. Good stuff. Let's see. You guys got quiet now. You guys got quiet. Jordabo, is Krita good for editing renders? Yes, it can be. It can be. I like using it for drawing and for painting. I feel it's a little bit nicer for that than Photoshop, but you could use it for editing as well. How are we doing? How many are we missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we're in the home stretch now. There we go. Manolo. Rickron is saying, I'm learning. This info is gold. I hope so. I really hope you guys are liking the info so far. That's my main goal with all of this. Yes, I'm Manuel. I'm an environment artist in his way to build a portfolio. I've been 1 year learning with courses, YouTube, and blogs, trying every day to improve my art. Harsh, as I mentioned, what you should focus on is on props. Try to doing some really nice, interesting props, complex props, like the wagon, for instance, and that can really help you understand the whole process a little bit more. I'd like the realistic one more than stylized. Yeah, let's take a look. Okay, we need more stuff. We got the stylized cauldron. Nice. It's hand-painted stuff. Again, when you guys are doing hand-painted, and I know I'm not the best one to talk about hand-painted yet, but you need to exaggerate the materials a little bit more, okay? So when you are doing this sort of stuff, always try to see how you can push the values a little bit more to really show the materials that you're trying to show, right? So for instance, this tentacle right here, since it's supposed to be more glossy, what we're gonna see here is we're gonna see more glossiness here on the top, right? So we're gonna see a little bit more of this sort of like stuff. And eventually we might see even some like white spots, like very white spots, which is like the slimy bit of the whole thing, right? And we always need to ask ourselves, where is the light hitting? Like, where are we getting the highest glossy points of the whole thing? And that's where we're gonna start seeing this sort of effect, right? So that's gonna really help us sell the effect that thing is like a wet effect. Right now, of course, we will need to blend things a little bit more and do a little bit more work. Same for the gold here. Like, if we're gonna have this gold right here, where are the highlights, right? Because there's a light that's hitting this thing, so we would expect to see a little bit of the highlights. And this is not something that you can do as easily with Substance Painter. You're gonna have to do, again, a little bit more of like hand painted techniques and hand painted work, but it's one of the things that you can do to really push the difference of the colors and really show how they're like affecting the different like elements of your object. I love hand painted stuff. It's so fun to do, but it's just like it's very time consuming. It really takes quite a bit of time to get to a good result. Okay, so you can see this is without the little paint over. And can you guys see how much this pops into the image? Let me just know, chat. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to the wind. So yeah, this is what we're doing right here. We're going from something that's looking a little bit too flat to something that's getting a little bit more of that punch on the material definition of the whole things. And in hand painted stuff, this is very time consuming. This is like the big part of the stuff, but it's also the thing that's really gonna push you to the next level. Awesome, glad to hear you're here. Is it Manuel or Manolo? Oh, you're Manolo, but okay, it's Manuel. Okay, there you go. From Bogota, Colombia. This one's really good. I like it. Again, it's a little bit stylized. It's looking a little bit like Play-Doh-ish. But it's a good model. It reminds me a lot of like Fortnite. Good optimization. I don't think we need 2 maps, to be honest. Something like this, like if you're in production, they wouldn't let you have 2 maps for this particular one. Oh, that's a sick concept, man. Yeah, try to do hand painted stuff with this one because there's so much stuff. You're missing a lot of stuff here, though. Like that's one point that I'm gonna say. This is when you guys shoot yourself on the foot. If you are doing a concept, if you're following a concept, you need to follow the concept. So you need to add the barnacles here, you need to add the starfish, you need to add the bandages, because here you sort of like gave up, I guess, or found it to be a little bit too difficult. You're like, I'm just gonna do the gun, I'm not gonna do the barnacles, I'm not gonna do the algae, I'm not gonna do a lot of this stuff. You did manage to like match the concept quite a bit. You're missing a little bit on the colors, so some of these metals are a little bit lighter than the others. That helps with the material separation, but yeah. Seraphine says, if you can't easily do the hand-painted stuff in Substance, where would you do it? I mean, to hand-paint the actual model, not the 2D render of it. 3D Code. 3D Code is the best software to do that. I actually don't have 3D Code, but I use this one called 3D Code Textura, which is like the light version, only the texture side of things. But that's the go-to element for that sort of things. The thing is that the artist told me to use it. Oh, okay. So yeah, okay. If this was okay, if this was a commission, if someone told you, hey, I need you to do this for a video game or whatever, I want you to use this one right here as a concept, but don't do the barnacles or all the other stuff. Don't show the concept. That's what my point, Manuel. If you show me the concept and I don't know the context of people telling you not to do that stuff, I'm gonna immediately judge and say, you missed this, you didn't finish this properly because you're missing these pieces. So you don't always need to show the concept because this kind of like interaction can happen, okay? That's why I mentioned by like shooting yourself on the foot. So just be careful with that because, again, recruiters, HR directors, people who are looking at your portfolio, they don't have this interaction that we have right now where I can actually ask you about the things that you were going through when looking at this specific elements. So it's very important that if there's no context, you don't let people second guess or draw their own conclusions. This is a good one. I feel like we can add a little bit more metal edgeware on some elements to, again, like push some of the objects up. But this is a good model. Again, were you here, Manolo, when I was giving the demo on Maya on how to simplify some of the cylinders? Because this is too much, man. Too much. Especially for a game asset. So what you want to do here is you want to start triangularizing some of this stuff. Right? So getting more triangles here so that we reduce a little bit of the edges. Because this is way too much. As a rule of thumb, depending on the size of the object, I will change the amount of like lines that we have, okay? So for something that's as small as this, I'll probably keep it at 20 sides. I'm not sure how many sides you have right here, but it seems like way too many. This pipe right here, I'll probably bring it down all the way to 16 sides. Because it looks weird to have this like low poly optimized cylinder here on the front and then this unoptimized cylinder right here. And again, remove edges. You don't need as many edges, so you can remove one edge from one of these elements right here, and you're gonna bring down your poly count quite a bit as well. This is about optimization, but presentation is fine, man. Like this presentation is good. Again, you normally wouldn't use a 4K texture for something like this because it's small on the face of a character. So you're going to do like a 2K texture, but you can. It's very normal to texture at 4K and then down res for the game engine if we need to. So this is fine from a modeling and texturing perspective. It's the optimization that can definitely benefit. And I understand why you added like multiple lines right here, but you don't need that many. Let's see. What do you think about Mari? I've seen some texture work. No, Mari is very good, but Mari is used more for film industry. So with Mari, you're gonna have something called UDIMs. So UDIMs, as you guys know, are when we take a character or an asset or something, and instead of keeping everything in the one-to-one space, we move it to more spaces, right? Like we add more resolution to the whole thing. So the thing about Mari is that you can work with a ridiculous amount of UDIMs. Like for me, when I was doing, what's the word? When I use UDIMs instead of substance, I usually try to keep it to 5 UDIMs, maximum 10 UDIMs, like 10 2K UDIMs, because substance is not really optimized to handle that big of like procedurally generated textures. Mari is. So if you're gonna be working with like 24K UDIMs or something like that, Mari is the way to go. Nice. Yes. All of that stuff, Darthbean, can be baked down so that you can reduce the amount of polygons. Let's see. What are the differences in workflow between games and cinematics? I'm particularly confused on how UVs are handled for cinematics. You get way more UVs on cinematics. So the resolution that you can work with on Mari, again, it's way bigger. So you can have 54K UDIMs inside of Mari, and it's gonna work perfectly fine. If you try to have 54K UDIMs inside of Substance, and you don't have like a stupidly like big computer, it's gonna crash. Any advice for environment? Keep it simple, man. Keep it simple, especially if it's your first environment. You can keep it simple. Okay, so environment, concept art. So you don't want to do something like this for your first environment. That's way too complex. You might want to do something like this, right? Like a couple of houses that are modular and you can repeat, a couple of hero assets, something simple. So keep it simple will be my best advice for you. Cool. Let's go to the next one. Let's go here to Lepulg. Lepulg. He's our frequent viewers here. I'm Alejandra, also known as Lepulg from Peru. I've been working as a freelancer for the past years, primarily creating low poly props, buildings, and assets. Recently, I've been shifting my focus towards characters and assets for 3D printing. Here's my portfolio. There we go. Yeah, 3D printing is another big market there out, guys. Yeah, you're doing, this is another one for the Creatures Unleashed contest. There we go. Let's take a look. Voris. I'm not too familiar with this character, but modeling looks good. Topology looks good. Cult of the Lamb 3D. Yeah, this is nice, man. Yeah, I like this. I'm not sure how this will be floating. It's probably gonna have to have support or something for 3D printing. Are you doing retopology and everything, or is this just ZBrush? It looks like it's just ZBrush, right? Totorum. Yeah, this is a fun diorama. Be careful with your forms. Like, I guess this would be my advice for you. You want to avoid having what I like to call the meatball effect, or the chewing gum effect. So this right here, it kind of looks like you just did like a displacement inside of like Blender or something. So if you were going to be doing these trees, make sure you really like give them the shape that they deserve, right? So really go in here with a sculpt brush, or if you're gonna do booleans, that's fine. But make sure that we don't get this like blobby effect, okay? And again, planes and all of this are very important. And I'm gonna give you a specific tip, Lepulk, because you're mentioning that 3D printing is one of the things that you want to do. I love 3D printing. Like I do that all the time. So I recently 3D printed this one, the gargoyle that we did on VR yesterday or the day before. So when you 3D print stuff, you're normally going to be painting them as well, right? And if you don't have clean planes and clean forms on your 3D print, then when you try to paint them, it becomes very difficult. If you try to use the techniques such as dry brushing, such as glazing, such as washes and stuff like that, this is not gonna work. It's not gonna work on these tree shapes. It's gonna be a bad experience for someone who's trying to paint this in the real world. So that's why you definitely want to clean some of the forms there, so that when you 3D print, it's also an enjoyable experience for anyone who is going to 3D print. Courage, the cowardly dog. Nice. Yeah, this looks a little bit more hand painted as well. Similar feedback that I gave to the last guy. Like, we need to do a little bit more material definition, and it might require you to go in there and paint. Okay. What's the best way for creating trees for games? Excellent question. The easy one is SpeedTree. Like, SpeedTree is the industry standard software that we use for game creations. It allows you to create realistic trees, even some stylized stuff. But this one is the one that we use. It's not that, what's the word? It's not that expensive, to be honest. It's only $20 a month. I wish they offered a perpetual license, to be honest. I would definitely buy it if they offered a perpetual license. So what I do is, when I'm going to work on a project that requires tree, I'll subscribe, I'll do my work, and once I'm finished, I stop the subscription. That's normally what I do here for the indie stuff. So SpeedTree is the one that we use. There's another one that recently got released for free. It's called Vue. And it got, what's that? Vue Tree Software. They stopped development on this one, unfortunately. So Vue, is it Vue? It was Vue, was it? Maybe I'm like remembering it wrong. Tree generator. I was pretty sure it was Vue. I'm gonna have to look it up, but there was another tree generator that works similar to SpeedTree, but it got, like, its development got stopped. It's now for free, so you can download it along with a lot of like assets. But yeah, those are the ones that we normally use. Okay, let's go to the next one. Sophia Smanovska says, I'm Sophia, I just joined, I'm looking for ways to grow and learn in a focused way. I want to be a props artist, did some stylized models, but now focusing on realistic, since companies here in Poland are doing mainly realistic games. Yes, Helmil, SpeedTree can create low poly trees as well. You change the, what's the word, the, how many like sides, because it's all procedural, so you change all of that stuff. I'm unable to find a job for quite some time. I know I need to work generally more on my skills, but I'm wondering what would you say about what I have for now in my portfolio, and maybe which aspects should I focus on. Let's take a look. Hey, you're right here. Awesome. Yeah, this is not bad. This is not bad, actually. When did you graduate, Sophia? Because you have 4 years. You've worked. Like, I'm guessing you're struggling with finding work now, but because this looks like you've done some professional work already. I love this one. This one's very, very cool. Yeah, this is a very nice totem. We can definitely simplify this a little bit more. Again, these are kind of like the neat, peeky things that I can show you. It's not necessary, but for instance, can you see those lines right there? Like all of those lines going across the model? Oh, you're self-taught. Oh, damn. You got a really good level to be self-taught. That's great. So all of these lines right here, you can easily simplify them by going into a single point. Yes, it's not going to look as pretty, but by doing that, we go from, in this case, 4 faces to 1, 2, 3 faces right there. So we simplify quite a bit with a lot of triangles. Again, it's not going to look as symmetrical, but it's a way to remove all of this like elements, because all of this flat area right here is just that. It's just a flat face. So you don't need all of those loops because it's just a flat face and it's an object that's not going to deform. But this one's a very cool one. I really like this one. Very unique, I would say. This one's very pretty as well. Careful with the metal edgeware. It's getting a little bit too heavy everywhere. It's not a bad one. You did a wagon. There you go. Well, it's a barrel organ. It's a good one. Now, again, another little advice that I could give you. Be very careful with the intensity of the height map. We don't need to really, like, push this too much, okay? XY, what's up, man? Yeah, the O was a very good piece. Yeah, good topology. I might want to see some UV layouts, maybe, Sophia, just to make sure that we're packing everything properly. But you got some really good props here. Even this little temple diorama looks very nice. Yeah, this is great. Great trip sheets there. Amazing. Oh yeah, you're one of those cases, Sophia, where I feel really bad I wish I could give you a job because you definitely have the skills. This is a very clean, presentable portfolio. You're showing a lot of different assets, some of them complex, like this house right here is also quite nice and complex. So this shows a good understanding and a good level of artistry. Here's my advice. First of all, try to look who are, like, you need to make a list of all of the studios that are near you in Poland, right? Make a list of all of them and take a look at what they're doing. Try to find if there's events, like sometimes they call them mixers, where they are showcasing new stuff or they're presenting their projects, or like open houses, things like that. Because if you're self-taught, what you might be missing are the connections, right? Like you might not have as many connections to the local industry as someone who went to school there and whose teachers were like working at some of those studios. So you need to do a little bit of that. I'm gonna give you a pro tip right here, and this is a pro tip that I actually saw someone use to get a job in the industry when I was a student. So when I was a student, I was taking a class with a very famous artist. His name is Miguel Ortega. He has done like very cool stuff with Unreal. He's very talented. And Miguel Ortega, it's this guy right here. He was teaching us the look dev class. And when we got here, someone enrolled to that class. So someone enrolled to the class, and he was already an experienced 3D artist. So he only enrolled to the class to talk to the teacher. That was his strategy. He enrolled to the class so he could show the teacher his work. And the moment, like, I remember this, the first class the teacher saw his portfolio, he was like, dude, what the hell? Like, this is really good. Send me your stuff. Let's talk. Because he was looking for more people, and he helped that student get connected and get a couple of jobs in the industry. So it might not be a bad idea for you, Sophia. Look for the best like 3D school in Poland right now and see if you can enroll to just one class. I know it's gonna like cost a little bit of money, but just enrolling to that one class and meeting people around you who can see your work, meeting the teachers, the administration staff and stuff like that, could open more opportunities for you. And this works at any stage. I remember this student I'm talking about. He was already like, I don't know, probably like 32 years at that time. I was like 21. So he was way older, more experienced, and that was his strategy. He's like, I'm going to go to the school, I'm going to take that class, I'm going to meet people, I'm going to get a job. And he did. So I guess, again, we as humans, we feel like once we go across a certain stage, we should be going back to the same stage. I'm telling you, like me, right now, I would have absolutely no issues going back to Noman or going to Think Tank or going to any other schools and enrolling to one class that I want to learn a little bit more about at this point in my career. Like, you should be humble enough, and I'm not saying you're not, I'm just telling this to everyone, but you should be humble enough to understand that we're always learning and always improving, right? Like our motto says. So that could be a good strategy for you, because I feel like you have a really strong portfolio, really good portfolio. So what you need to do is you need to find more people. You need to talk to people. You need to meet people so that they can help you grow in this sort of like network strategy, and you can get more opportunities. Okay, hope that helps. Arenas95 says, yeah, one guy from my class did that and he's already at 2K working and didn't even finish the course. Yeah, like it's I don't know why this happens. I guess it's a little bit of ego from everyone, where we think we already know stuff and we think we should already be good. You can be learning at any point. Like, I see myself in 40 years, when I'm 70, like enrolling to a new class and learn about the new technologies about the industry at that point. Like, I totally see myself like a super old dude, just like hanging with young kids and learning, because I love learning, and it's one of those things that makes us better artists. So definitely one very good strategy. Always keep learning that way. And this is again a good strategy for everyone. I know that learning from like self-taught artists is really valuable, but if you can get into a class every now and then, that's also really good. It opens up your perspective, you get to know more people, and then you never know when those like peers that you meet will eventually help you get another job somewhere else. Because believe me, if I ever get a call, it's like, hey, we're looking for this kind of artist, and I know I'm not that kind of artist, the first ones I think about are my peers. And after my peers, they might be like people from the Discord channel, right? So you go through the list of mental people who might fit that bill, and if you're within that like element, it's easier to get opportunities. Yeah, it's fine if they're online, but you're with more people. Sophia, that's fine as long as you are meeting people, right? Or you're in communities like ours. Post this stuff on our Discord, post it on the 3D workshop, post it on the Whips channel, so that people know who you are. Because, for instance, right now this is the first time I see your portfolio, but believe me, if I ever get a message, I'm actually working, no, not with Poland, I'm working with a company from Budapest. But if I get a messages like, hey, we're looking for an artist here in Europe who can do stylized stuff, believe me, I will remember, oh, Sophia was doing that. And I'll probably send them your portfolio as well. Or I'll talk to you, it's like, hey, these guys are looking. You might want to check it out. So that's how you make connections, by getting your name out there and saying to the world, hey, I'm here, I'm available. So, yeah. Let's go to the next one. We got a lot of European people right now. Now from Ukraine, Elina. But give me 1 second, guys. One second. There we go. Demitrios from Greece. There we go. Awesome. So it says, hi, Ave, Elina from Ukraine. I used to work as an architect and interior designer for a long time, but I always dreamed about making creatures and characters for games. I burned down on my work and I hated it, but I was too scared to quit. Thanks for the sub, Rexaka. Thank you very much. Recently, I've mastered some concepts in game rhythm mode for about a year and a half ago. Can you give me a piece of advice? Of course I can. Let's take a look. Nice. Yeah, I've seen this cat before. Somewhere. Did you post it on the Discord or something? So I'm pretty sure I saw it at one point, probably. Yeah, this is very cool. I like it. I love it. Now, this is what I consider a concept pieces. Actually, most of this that I'm showing or seeing right now is what I would consider concept pieces, which are very good. Hey, thanks for the sub as well, my friend Kyle Kanta Dunk. So yeah, these are very, very nice. I really like, it seems like you have a good handle of zebras sculpting. There's a couple of proportion things here on the face that we could fix, but I really like the octopus, like a bentosis on this character right here. Good stuff, Elena. However, the one thing that I'm going to tell you is that all of this are concept pieces, okay? So they're not production ready. They're good to showcase how they would look on a game or on a film, but if you want to go through the production pipeline, we need to go through retopology, UVs, texturing, using not only polypaint, because I think right now you're using mainly polypaint. This is a great presentation. You have a really good eye, and this is where I tell you guys, like Elena here is what's the word? She's sharing that she was an architect and interior designer, so I know she has a lot of like formation and theory information about things like what's the word? About things like composition, proportions, light, all of this information, right? So it shows here. So every single thing you do in your life, it doesn't matter at what point you decide to pursue this specific career, but all of that information will help you somehow. Now, my best advice for you, Elena, is if you want to get into games and you want to do the characters for an actual game so that the character can run and jump and live in the game, we do need to learn about, again, retopology, substance painter, UVs, all this stuff, so that we can take this amazing concepts and ideas you have right here, like this catfish, into something that can live within a game. Okay? This one's great. I love this one. I could definitely see this in a weird game here and there. Rexaka says, te veía siempre en YouTube, pero mejor por Twitch. Saludos de un chileno en Argentina. Saludos, Rexaka. Saludos. Hello. So yeah, good stuff, Elena. If you want the next step, again, since it's retopology, you might want to check the Topogon course that we have, the retopology course, or you might want to jump straight into Substance Painter as well. I feel like those can really help you to, again, follow or complete the full production pipeline of your creations here. Now we go with Ilas from Belgium. Look at that. A lot of Europeans again. Here's my portfolio. My objective is to work as a creature designer in the industry or maybe create my own card game. That's awesome. Can you give me some advice, like what should I learn and show in my portfolio? Yeah, let's take a look. Oh, yes, I remember your stuff, man. I remember this one. You were sharing this on the Discord channel as well. Yeah, Gurki. This is very, very good. My first advice is I feel like you're going a little bit too dark on your renders. Okay, it's difficult to appreciate your work, your sculpts, if we're going too dark. I prefer this sort of like renders first. Well, I mean, you can open with this one and then go with a clay render. But yeah, even this one, the cinematic ones, are definitely a little bit too dark. It's very difficult to see what's going on. But I like them. I really like them. Now, the one thing I'm a little bit worried about, because you got some good sculpting skills. Yeah, texturing can definitely improve. I feel like it's getting a little bit too bumpy. Anatomy can also improve a little bit. That would be my advice for you. And mainly in the prop creation, man. I think you have a good handle of again, the creature anatomy and the poses. Your presentation is top-notch. Like this, like renders that you're doing with the forest and the ruins and everything. Like all of this. This is very, very nice. This looks cool. But we need things to not only look cool, but also be cool everywhere else, right? So again, like this cloth right here looks very clay-like. Some of the bandages there. So we need to polish some of those elements a little bit more. And I'm gonna be very honest. Here's another detail. I'm seeing you're reusing a lot of assets, okay? So pretty much the same tree is on both of this, and the same environment is on both of this. Be careful with that, because especially when you have your portfolio one after the other, it's very easy to tell that you're just reusing assets. And it's not that's wrong, it's just that it just looks weird, okay? It looks a little bit weird. It's a very cool concept. I don't think we nailed it perfectly, to be honest. Like, we could definitely exaggerate, again, the wrinkles and the folds and the details, especially here on the arms. They look too soft. Same for the legs. So be very careful there, okay, my friend? Very careful there. Let's see. There we go. Let's go to the next one. More than... How many do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 left. There we go. Because I'm already hungry. I didn't have breakfast today. We started very early, and I just, like, ran to the studios, like, let's go. So I'm definitely a little bit hungry now. Yarden, let's see. Oh, Yarden, you are one of the first ones. I want to be a character text model, but it will be Fortnite, I guess. So only film will also work for games. Could I get some feedback on representation? Okay, so first glance, like the first thing I see here is we're dealing with, it looks like 2D at first glance here, my friend. Hey, there you go. Look at this, guys. Look at what's happening here. SciArt is just contacting another one of our students here. What was their name? Sophia. And you might get a chance. There you go. That's a studio, it seems. Mortalis Game Studio. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, that's how connections are made, guys. Once you put your stuff out there. And that's one of the other reasons why I like to do this portfolio reviews, because I know that there might be people watching that will eventually need someone and then might remember some of the stuff that we reviewed here. So more than yeah, it's a little bit weird because I thought it was 2D, but now that I look at it, it's definitely cell shaded stuff. I don't have a lot of experience with cell shaded. Your topology is fine, but I know that this is way too much for something as simple as this guy right here. This one, Cyberpunk. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to help you too much. This Ricochet study looks fine. This is a good model right there. I like it. This one's definitely nicer. It's at least cleaner. But yeah, I'm not the guy to ask about cell shading, to be honest. Like, I do play Genshin Impact, I'm not gonna lie, but I would probably work a little bit more on the shaders themselves. And the models, you probably want to simplify them a little bit more. They look a little bit too rough on certain areas. This is a little bit more hand-painted. But yeah, this is, of course, a little bit... Oh, we're gonna get banned. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, we gotta be careful with the amount of information we add. I feel like the models can definitely be more complex. Like, the cell shading looks fine, I think. Again, I'm not an expert on this one, to be honest, Yarden. So that's why I'm not gonna be able to help you as much. But the models do look a little bit too simple, okay? So, again, as I mentioned, I do play Genshin, so the models in Genshin are really, really complex. Like, the meshes are quite complex. The silhouettes are very crazy, the thickness on the elements. So you might want to play a little bit more with that. Hopefully that helps you. But to be honest, again, maybe look for a content creator or a streamer that does something similar to what I do, that focuses more on stylized stuff, because that's not my area of expertise. Let's see. Jebby says, one day I want to be part of a portfolio review here, but I'm already picking up something. Yeah, that's the secret about this, guys. This is the secret about portfolio review, and this is why I feel like this is so valuable. We learn, like, you have no idea how much I learn from all of the portfolios I go through, because I see the things that are really working and I incorporate that into my designs, and I see the things that are not working as well, and I'm gonna make sure to not to use them on my portfolio. So that's why this is so important. When you're a self-taught artist, or where you're working on your own stuff, you tend to sort of like get this tunnel vision where you don't realize what other people are doing. So that's why it's so important to see this and learn from everyone around you, okay? Very important. Luis Bogger says, first time on the stream, great tips so far. Thanks, Abe. You are welcome, my friend. Yeah, you're welcome. So that was just more than. Let's go now with Akshai. Says, hi, Abe. Akshai here from India, currently working as mid-level artist. 3 years of experience in outsourcing, working on little titles like Callisto Protocol and Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's great. Let's take a look. Nice. Yeah, we got some good stuff here. This is, again, one of those simple assets that, to be honest, you don't need, man. Like, it's such a simple asset that you don't need it in your portfolio, especially because you have this one right here, which is way more interesting. Amazing thing. I don't even know what this is. Wall breach device. Nice, like a bomb or something. Yeah, this is great, man. Good optimization. It could be a little bit like smaller. I would need to see exactly the try count to know whether or not it's like too heavy or not. But yeah, this is really good, man. It's a good game asset. Now, here's the thing, and I know this is what I hate about the industry, actually. You mentioned you worked on Callisto Protocol. And there's nothing we can show here. Go and ask your bosses. It's like, hey, can I share this? Because the game is out there now, right? So usually when things ship, you are more free to show stuff on your portfolio. Of course, check your contract. You don't want to breach any contract or get into any issues. But try to show more of the stuff that you've done professionally. And that can really boost your portfolio. Because one thing that I noticed is that you do have a few pieces. Now, this one is definitely a little bit on the high poly count. Like quite high, I would say, like especially here on the handle. Again, we don't need as many faces right there for like areas that are a little bit flatter, so it's very important. Yes, Genvis. So we open submissions every month, roughly in the first or second week. We're now waiting until we fill a specific number of submissions, about 30, so that I can give everyone a good amount of time, and then you just submit. Not good UVs, man. This one is not a good UV. Like, we're wasting too much space. This one's fine. The gun is fine. Very nicely. But this one, I don't know why you split this into so many different pieces. Could have been simplified way more. Like, this thing is pretty much like 2 faces. Like, 2 big parts, and that's it. You don't need as many cuts. Keep this in mind, guys. When you are working with elements, I understand why you did this. Maybe because you wanted to keep, like, material separate a little bit easier. But you can do this with ID maps or ID masks. Yeah, exactly. As David is saying, we open the submissions, and you need to be paying attention because we've had this issue where there's a lot of submissions, and it gets a little bit difficult to manage. So the more cuts you add to an asset, the more it's gonna impact the performance on the game time running. Okay, so it's not something that they tell you very often, but you do need to be careful not to add too many cuts. And then, like, this very thin layers right there, like, it feels to me like you just grab this one and you use, like, an automatic mapping or something instead of Blender, or you're using Blender, Maya, because, yeah, this is not optimized at all. You can texture it, like, you're definitely going to be able to texture it, but it's not optimized. You got to be careful there. So, there we go. Afatsum. And yeah, and we need more stuff, Akshai. So again, go and ask the projects that you've worked on if you can share some more of the stuff. It's a really cool TV here as well. So yeah, this is a good portfolio, man. Make sure to include the tree count, because I'm seeing that you're not really mentioning that. And it is important. It is important to know how many triangles we have. Because, for instance, if you tell me this TB has, I don't know, 15k triangles, I'll be like, okay, fine. But if you tell me, no, this has like 50k triangles, that's way too much. And I can already see lines or elements that we can simplify and optimize a little bit more. Again, for a better runtime effect. Awesome. So that was Akshai. Let's go with Artm. I'm a 3D prop artist, and I'm currently focused on creating networks and building up my portfolio. I've been learning this challenging craft for about a year now, and recently I've set my sights on entering the game industry. I'd love to hear the feedback on my portfolio. Let's take a look. Nice. Yeah, this is good, man. I actually seen your stuff, actually. You've been sharing this on the Discord, right? Because I've seen you've been doing a lot of this stylized hand painted stuff. Nice, yeah. Yeah, this is good, man. This is really good, to be honest. Really clean. Your sculpt is fine. And your textures are really good. Are you not doing any sort of... I'm sure... are you here, first of all? Artm, are you here on the chat? Because if you are, I want to ask you, are you doing any sort of hand-painted thing? Because this is the kind of stuff that you would do inside of... what's the word? Oh, wait. No, wait a second. Wait a second. I'm getting confused here. Okay. So this right here is the original piece. And I'm sure here Maela de Gracia did hand paint it in 3D code or something like that, because I've seen not only her stuff but the Wayfinder stuff before, so I'm sure this has some hand painted stuff. This is your fan art version, this one right here, which is not bad, but I'm curious about whether or not you're doing hand painting or if you're doing everything in substance. You can see the difference. It's subtle, but the difference is that this one looks very soft everywhere because of the gradients and stuff like that, and this one has a little bit more, you know, grunge to it, more texture, which requires, again, hand painting stuff. It's not bad. Again, this is really good stuff. But if you want to get into this stylized stuff, my friend, I strongly recommend that you learn a little bit about 3D code, because you will be doing hand painted touch-ups inside of that software. Otherwise, things look or end up looking very procedural, very soft. Okay, but this is good stuff. Now, my best advice for you: start picking some of these elements and build a small scene. Okay, build a small scene. And one more thing that I'm gonna advise to you, Artm, and this is very important: try not to do too many things that have already been done. I know this is hard. I know this is hard because it's safe to pick something like this that has already been done by Blizzard and then just do your own rendition. And if I may say something, I actually like your rendition a little bit nice or more than this one. I feel like yours has a little bit more of that sort of like painterly effect. So you did a good job. But the thing is, it was already done. So it's kind of like reinventing the wheel. And it's better if you grab a concept and then you do the concept on your own. So if you look for stylized concept art props, right? You're gonna find a lot of stuff like this one right here, this wall. Like, this is a great exercise. If anyone can do this up to this level, hand paint and everything, it shows that you can take a concept and really, again, bring it to the next level. And you're gonna find a lot of concepts that way. Again, trying to do things that are not or that haven't been done as much, like this one right here. That one's pretty cool, actually. It's like a shield. Imagine doing this hand painted style. It's really, really nice. Seraphine says, is 3D Code the only software for hand painting? Or it's not the only one. You can do it in Photoshop, you can do it in Substance, but the color picker inside of 3D Code is just like the best. Let me show you. You should have it around here. I'm not going to show you the project I'm working, but I'm going to show you another one. This one. There we go. So, for those of you that didn't know, this is 3D Code, or a version of 3D Code. And again, the reason why this is so powerful is because I can very easily, like, just grab the paint brush here and start painting. Like, I literally just grab my color and I start adding the volume. Let me just add a new layer. There we go. Right? So it's very easy to get that sort of like hand painted effect. And it's all thanks to the color picker and to the way the software works. In Substance, you need to create a layer, you need to create a mask, you need to paint the mask, you need to modify it, and then the brush is not working the way you want. So this one's way easier, way more efficient, I would say. Just like lay out color and start like adding all the detail that you want. The interface is not that difficult to learn, to be honest. It's relatively simple, and it's cool. I don't have one yet, Ausboss. See, I really like doing hand paint stuff. I enjoy it, but I'm learning. I'm not the best at it. Like, I haven't done a lot of it, to be honest. So I just know the very basic. I do have one like this. This Mind Flayer is on the YouTube video. You can check it out. But but it's something that I'm working towards. Like I really want to do something like this later on. There we go. This is what I want to show you. So this is what you actually see when you're doing hand painted textures. So it's just the diffuse color, just the color map. You don't have any shading information. This is how it would look on a game like World of Warcraft or something like that. So is the basic, yeah, the cheap version. This is 3D Code Texture actually. So this is just the basic version of the software, and you can do all the painting. You won't be able to sculpt or model or do anything else, but the hand painted stuff, perfectly fine. So yeah, this is the process for 3D Code. And it's a very fun process, and this is what I would recommend you to do here, my friend Artm. Like learn a little bit about 3D Code, because you can take these really good assets that you're already doing here, take them into 3D Code, and learn the actual like hand painted techniques. Very, very good. Yeah, 3D Code has this very cool thing, by the way, guys. It's one of the few like industries or few programs that I see do this, which is the pay to own option. So for instance here, let's go 3D Code Textura, which is the one that I use. If you go to buy, you can buy it outright, which is not expensive, $120. It's not expensive, but they have this option right here. So you make 7 payments of $21 or 21 euros, which is what, like 140 euros or something like that, a little bit more, and then you have it for forever. So I'm doing this one right now. I think this month is my 7th month, so I'm gonna have it, like I'm gonna own it. Then you do get updates for 1 year, and then if you want to update, they do charge a fee. But believe me, like even with this like stock version right here, it's more than enough to do anything or everything. So yeah. ¿Cuándo es bueno tener un sculpt un personaje portfolio solo para rendir polypaint y cuándo es necesario? If you already have, Damián, if you already have multiple characters with the full process, then you're free to add polypaint stuff. That's fine, because you have already proven that you can do the full pipeline if you want to. But if you don't have, or if you only have one character with full pipeline and then you have 10 characters with only polypaint, that means that you're not as consistent because you've only done it once. So I'd rather see a portfolio with 6 finished characters and 4 polypainted characters than the other way around. You should have more completed work than not completed work. And finally, last but not least, we're gonna go with Endika. I'm a 3D characters, focused on doing 3D AAA realistic characters. As you can see, all my characters are oriented to medieval fantasy style. That's because I want to work in studios who make this type of video games. Despite the fact that I am open to relocate and have working experience, currently I am unemployed. I know that I am not a AAA character superstar, but I can't find where's my portfolio lacking in order to not be hired by any company. Last but not least, I can notice that one of my weaknesses are faces, so I'm working on a new character, this time focusing on likeness and integrating it on Unreal Engine. I'm a bit desperate with my situation, so any advice will be amazing. You can be as critical as you want. Let's take a look. Okay, so the first thing that I see is that we need to improve the presentation a little bit. Remember, guys, presentation is half the battle. So they're too dark. Like this link right here, it's very dark. This guy right here, it's also a little bit dark, and this one right here is very dark in the light, not in the theme. The theme is fine. Like if you want to do fantasy, that's fine. Now, from a presentation perspective or from a character perspective, first of all, I'm not sure why you're choosing to do this vertical renders. Usually, especially for people who are watching your stuff on the PC, it's better to do this on a full HD stuff. So yeah, we need to see wireframes. There we go. This is a little bit better, more clear. So texture work is not bad. We do need to be a little bit careful about where we're adding more detail. Right now it looks very grungy, and for instance, this red shirt on the character, it's too vibrant. I think too red. We might want to change that a little bit. This is not a bad high poly sculpt, actually. That's really nice. Okay, yeah, okay. So this is where you might be getting some hits, man. If this is the concept, and you show me this, I see that we did not nail the concept. And you mentioned that you were fine with me being critical about it. That's the problem that I see. Because, again, you need to put yourself in the shoes of who's going to hire you, right? So let's say Abe, I'm going to hire you. Like, I need a character artist, and I'm going to hire you. And I tell you, hey, I need you to do this character right here. And you're like, sure, let me start. And then you deliver this. I'm not happy, right? Like if I tell you that I need you to do this and I get this in return, I'm not happy. Why am I not happy? Because it's not matching. The colors are not matching. All of the props are not matching. The general silhouette and proportions, the forms are not matching. Okay? And it's a matter of making sure that you understand the concept properly, okay? Let me show you here. Let me bring yours. So if we put them side by side, you can immediately tell all the things that we're missing, right? Like we take a look at the crosses. Those crosses are not the same as those crosses. There's way more detail there. The little back right here is not the same as this little back right here. Not even the bracer. Look at the bracer. We look at this, there's way more detail. I'm not sure if this is AI or not. It doesn't look like AI, to be honest. Look at the lantern. This lantern right here, it has round windows, but it's like it has more of a flare to it, and it has like a little like fence on the inside. I'm not seeing that right here. Look at how the folds fall, right? Look at the silhouette of the boots. So unfortunately, I could not hire you to do a character like this because you're showing me here that you don't yet, I'm not saying you can't get there, but you don't yet have the skills to match this as closely as what we have here on the concept, okay? So we need to work on that. Even the face, of course, needs a little bit more work, and I know that you mentioned that you're working on faces. So that's why this piece in this particular case is not doing great. Then we move on to the blacksmith. This blacksmith is looking a little bit better. Like I can definitely see this on the game. It's looking nicer. We need to work a little bit on the grooming of the character. It's looking a little bit too stiff, I would say, is the word right there. But I do like the anatomy. This face is actually a little bit better. Materials can improve, especially the skin. It can look a little bit better. Anatomy can improve a little bit. This muscle right there is a little bit too much, I think. But this is definitely better. Now, what I'm missing here, there we go. We do have the counts. So this is too high on the poly count. We don't need as many. 6,000 for such a simple shape. Again, not necessary. 13,000 for this back. Again, way too much. I'm not sure. It looks like you're using way too much topology right there. So again, that's not optimized. 110k for the character. That's, again, normal, especially because of you're using haircuts and stuff. Be very careful here with the cloth, man. You might want to take a look into Marvelous Designer, because this right there, that's not working. That's not how the cloth folds, okay? Topology is fine. Yeah, so there's definitely an improvement there. And let's take a look at the link. Again, as I mentioned, the first thing I noticed is that it's way too dark, so it's difficult to see what's going on. I would definitely increase the amount of light that we have. There we go. Something like this is better for showcasing stuff. Your texture work definitely improved. I like the style. It looks very realistic, very nice. I still feel like texture work is a little bit too saturated. We need to work, make sure we don't push it too far. Face needs a little bit more work. Again, it's a little bit on the uncanny valley. And optimization, man. We definitely need to learn to optimize this way more. Way more, okay? Yeah, it's too much topology there, man. Too much topology. Yeah, look at this. No. This is way too much. Just a simple lantern. Look at this. This is what I mean by optimization, guys. This is a great, again, it's a good piece. I like it. The lantern is very small. It's like 5% or 8% of the whole composition. And the problem with this is that if you take a look at this, it has 12,000 triangles. We don't need that many triangles for an asset that's barely going to be visible based on the size of the element. Look at these right here. And again, I'm sorry I'm being too hard on you, my friend. I'm doing it, one, because you asked for it, and two, because it's needed here. But this shows laziness. And I'm not calling you lazy. I'm just saying that this shows laziness, because why do we have this right here? Look at the amount of polygons on such a small little piece. You know how you can simplify this one? Because I'm going to show you. Yes, I do like to call out when I see something that's not working great, but I want to show you. So that's a triangle right there. And then we have one square, two squares. Actually, I'm going to show you a trick here. You go all the way down here. Like that. And what you can do is you can add triangles here. Like that. That's how you simplify this part. Exactly like this. Okay? And we go from, I don't know how many polygons we have right there, to 1, 3, 4, 6, 7. Let's say there's another like triangle right there. 8, 9. We go to 9 triangles per side. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then on the other side, we're going to have 4 more sides. So that's 12 sides. 12 times 9. It's going to be 111 triangles for this whole bottom part right here, instead of this ungodly amount of triangles. So that immediately is going to reduce this 12,100 triangles by a lot. This whole thing right here, that's just a single triangle. Fine, you want to add that little bevel right there to get like that extra little highlight? I'll allow it. You can do it. But we need to simplify this quite a bit, man. Okay, quite a bit. It's not possible to have this. And this is unfortunately one thing that might be bringing you back or closing some opportunities for you. Because I can see a really good understanding of the sculpting process and UVs and texturing. Like, this is a very complete character. It's a good character. But then I see this as like, oh, that makes me worried. Because I don't want to hire you and then be fixing topology for you because you're not understanding the whole process right there. Now, again, this is not bad level. Like, I'm gonna go into the good news. The good news is you have a really good level, man. I know I was very critical with you and you were the last portfolio today, but you actually have a really good level. Like, a lot of students, they graduate and then they don't even get to this level. So I'm not exactly sure why you're not landing as many jobs. I know you're willing to relocate, which is great. I know that our industry is getting hit by a lot of bad news recently. So the best thing that I can tell you is keep networking, keep looking up. Again, remember their site. It's called Work with Indies. We've recommended it pretty much every single time on the streams. So there's this website that is constantly posting things for work. So if I look, for instance, for character, you're gonna see that right now there's all of these ones, like this one right here, Parallel Studio, 3D character, model rigger, animator. I know they're looking for animators, but hey. Let's see. There we go. Meet senior 3D generalist. Like, take a look at this and see if you can fit within this specific elements. Hey, maybe there's no character work. Well, there has to be some 3D, right? So there's gonna be some 3D props or 3D environments, something that you might be able to fit, like this one, 3D modeler. There we go. So you look at this, you send information, and hey, you might get an opportunity. But you definitely need to work more on this optimization of the assets, man. This is way too high poly. David, let me or just remind me, we definitely need to do a video on YouTube about like that optimization of assets. So I'm gonna do the med kit, I think, that I did a couple of months ago or last year. That's an excellent asset, I think, to show you how much we can optimize something. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Let's see, a couple of questions here. Don't worry, we are not the same. We are gonna have this rerun very soon here on the YouTube channel. I just need to make a couple of edits and get this ready. But we're gonna have this very soon. And tomorrow we're gonna have a very cool video. Don't miss it. We're gonna have a very cool process there that you guys can see. We're actually gonna talk about retopology tomorrow. So anyone who's wondering about retopology, make sure to check the YouTube video tomorrow because there's gonna be a demo on how I retopologize a specific element. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. We did it. We finished portfolio review in less than 4 hours. I was expecting to use all the 4 hours, but looks like we were able to manage and close it a little bit earlier. So yeah, thank you very much, my friends. Thank you for being part of this project, as always, as I mentioned, and we'll never be tired of mentioning it. It's thanks to you that we can do this kind of live streams with the portfolio reviews. It's thanks to your portfolio submissions, of course, and it's thanks to your support that we can continue to do this project right here. The best way to support us, of course, is to leave us a like, share, subscribe, all of the fun stuff here on the socials. That really helps the project. And if you want to support us more directly and of course benefit from more important information, you can go to www.leal3d.com and check some of our premium courses that contain all of the things that we talked about here, all of the techniques that I teach, and all of the things that I go over so that you can improve your portfolio and be able to create all of these amazing projects. So thank you very much, my friends. I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.